Yes. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome. I declare the council meeting open. Are there any apologies? No apologies. Well, I'd like to start the meeting with Toki, ko te moro rangi, te roa te hapai, or ke mori. Leadership to the fore, we all have an important role to play. Do we have any urgent business or late items? Late item number 1, all those in favour, accept that late item. Can someone?
I'll move.
We'll move. Second, Councillor McCrosty. Declarations of interest. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Declarations of interest.
Yes, Your Worship. Item number 7, Lawrence Chinese Camp. I'm actually a trustee of the camp, so I declare a vested interest.
No further, if noted, no further declarations of interest. Right. Now I see, welcome to our guests in the public forum. Do we have a sequence of who's speaking?
Presentation.
Oh yes, we've got a, sorry, before that point, we've got a very special occasion here of some presentations. That's the start.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to welcome up 2 of my staff. So for those members of the public, I'm Linda Till, very proud manager of the Three Waters team here, and I've got a couple of my team here who have recently qualified with their level 4 water treatment certificates, which involves 22 months of study, self-study, a workshop, and then they have a site inspection done by an examiner. So well done, guys, for attaining that. I know it's been a few months making you wait for your certificates, but we'd like to acknowledge you publicly, recognising the effort. I'll get Shayaz to come forward.
Thanks,
Shayaz. I'm just going to get Becky. And secondly, Ethan Beck. Sorry for making you wait since September for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so,
Wants to be first, you wish.
So we'll move into the public forum. Anyone in particular would like to come up first to speak from the public forum? First up.
Okay. Let's
Welcome.
get it over with.
Yes, no, you're welcome. Welcome. We do have a time limit on our public forum of 5 minutes, so if we can keep within there or thereabouts, it'd be much appreciated. We've got a fairly big schedule ahead of us today.
Kia ora. I was told yesterday that I wasn't allowed to talk about vehicles on beaches, so be assured the V word will not pass my lips. I was pleased to see in last week's Clutha Leader that Mayor Jock disagrees with the government's attempts to remove the need for councils to consider the 4 well-beings when they're making decisions. That is environment, cultural, social, and economic. And you ask the question, are these not the key elements that underpin our communities? Obviously, as a Forest and Bird member, I couldn't agree more. But although I realise the importance of all the economic issues that you've got to deal with in the foreseeable future, I do hope that you'll keep a clear focus on the need to protect the natural environment. that makes the Clutha district such a special place. That same issue of the leader features the opening of the Jacks Bay Information Panel, a project that was started by Helen and Peter Gilder. Helen commented, "We're finding the Catlins are becoming increasingly popular with people seeking that unique blend of landscapes, tranquility, and stunning wildlife. And it's not just about the tourists and the visitors, however necessary they may be to our economy." I'm currently working on a book about the environmental history of the Catlins, and I'm grappling with the introduction, which is always the hardest bit to write. So I started 40 years ago. I persuaded my family to leave Brisbane for the Catlins. I promised them that it would only be for 2 years. I lied. Jim and I and many other people in the district are still here for just the reasons that Helen described. But we've got to remember that our wildlife and wild places are fragile, whether it's sea lions being deliberately harassed and even killed on the beaches, whether it's rare salt marshes being needlessly crushed, or penguins that when they're out coming back from feeding and going up to feed their young, if there's disturbance on the beach, they'll just stay at sea, digesting the food that the chicks need. So all of these things and many others need our care and protection. You've got a big responsibility. Let's be honest, the Clutha District Council hasn't always been noted for taking strong actions to protect the environment. Decisions that you make now can have an impact far into the future. So I'd simply like to ask that when you make those decisions, our natural environment will be well at the forefront. Thank you for listening.
Any questions? No questions. Well, thank you very much. It was well thought out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more members of the public?
Hi everybody, I'm Keith Olson.
Welcome.
I live at Papatoa.
Justice.
Right, probably don't need it.
That helps with the license.
Right. I would like to talk about the place where I live, which is Papatoa, and the beach there, and in particular the signage which has been put up and could perhaps in future also be put up as people enter that beach. Because Papatoa Beach is a very small beach. It comprises a small area of, quite a large area of estuary, leading to the mouth of the Tahakopa River, and then a small area of ocean beach, leading to some rocks and rock pools and so on. A place which in the past has always been called Picnic Point, and was a favourite with locals down through the years as a place to picnic where they could gather things off the rocks there and look at rock pools and things like that. So it's a very small beach, and it has very good access, this beach, because it's a nice accessible beach with a car park, toilets, and a picnic area right beside the beach. This accessibility makes it popular with tourists, photographers, bird watchers, and other wildlife watchers, beachcombers, walkers, joggers. It actually forms part of a round trip walk, which involves a bushwalk and a return via the beach, or at least that's how it's described on the dock sign at the entrance to the bushwalk. Unfortunately, the easy access also means that some people doing things that we would rather they didn't do also have easy access to the beach. I would like to make a case for Papatawai Beach in particular to be made safe for all beach users. That includes the non-human ones, such as ground nesting birds, which we take a special interest in when the oyster catchers create their insignificant little nests on the beach. And there is always the danger of motorised means of transport running over those nests. And sea mammals. We've been lucky enough in the last few years to have had a long time visit from an elephant seal who became so popular that he ended up with two names. The first name was when he was thought to be a female, and then another name later. So he changed from being Essie to Eddie when they found out that he was actually a male. We were lucky enough to have him as a visitor. This year has been particularly popular with sea lions, and it's almost as if Papatawai has become a haul-out area for them, quite near the mouth, and we can actually see them lying there just from our front window. We're lucky enough to live in that sort of situation. So I'd like to make a case for the beach being made safe in some way. This is where we come to the question of signage as people enter the beach. There are some very good signs that have been put up. They've been totally funded and constructed and had council approval by local residents. And they're so good that the council, although originally they said, oh, we will replace those with our own, that hasn't really happened over the 2 years that those signs have been up there. The signage which the council has put up have been kind of disappointing for most of us who worry about these things. It's almost as if they have said to people who are approaching the beach in whatever means of transport they have to be told, kind of do what you like, but just try to be sensible and don't run over anybody. In other words, just don't be a dickhead, which doesn't kind of cut the mustard with the sort of people who are likely to be dickheads. I would like to, I'm not allowed to use the V word, am I?
Well, I think that you actually try to influence councillors over a very important decision.
Right, okay.
Be
Try it,
clear,
we'll try it.
just be clear and concise, please.
Okay. The council needs to be proactive with effective signage, and I guess That's what we are hoping for. I think we've been disappointed with that aspect of things so far, and we hope that in your consideration of things, you'll keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
Any councillors got any questions? Any questions?
Oh, yes, I hope there are.
I did have one actually, sorry. You're talking about the signage that you're disappointed in. You'd have a photo or something?
Oh,
Or is this just, have they just recently been put up? I haven't heard.
no, when were they put up? Can someone help me there?
Has there been,
If I say what's on them, I'm going to be breaking some rules. So I have to be careful.
has it been brought to the council's attention for the lack of disappointment from the community? Councillor Cathwood, your patch, has there been any correspondence in the past?
Regarding signage?
Yeah,
Yes.
so the council.
And I donated to, a resident designed two signs, but I donated two signs that were more basic and apt for the job. I think they're still there.
There are also some informal signs that have been put up, and I can't guarantee that they have council approval. And DOC have at times put up things that it may be more an issue with DOC than the council.
Right.
Ultimately, I'm not sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just to clarify that, I was
Okay.
aware, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Further questions?
Mr. Chairman, Mike's here and he's taking notes, so we can have a look at the concerns about sign.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the
Okay.
time and the effort to come and talk today. Thank you. Do we have any more members of the public? Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Diana Noonan and I live at Papatowai. And I want to talk to you today about the importance of being able to trust our politicians. We live in a world where trust in politicians is being increasingly eroded. We really have some classic examples in the international field. Politicians who say they're going to do something, but don't honour that promise, don't follow through with it. Politicians who lie. Politicians who don't care about those who vote for them. Some of you here have made some very important promises in respect to our environment, particularly our beach and estuarine environments. You have made decisions and we have trusted you. I appeal to you today regarding whatever decisions you have to make, that you remember your promises from the past, that you do not dishonour them. Thank you.
Any further members of the public? No further members of the public? Okay. Move on to item number 1, page 5 of your agendas. The Otago Local Authorities Triennial Agreement.
Yes, your worship, so I see my name's on that one, that's fine. I just have the report as read. It's pretty standard in terms of the requirements of the agreement. It's all contained in there and I'm ready to take any questions.
Open for questions. Councillors? Councillors, no questions? Discussion.
Not a question, but through you, Mr. Mayor. Pretty straightforward stuff, isn't it? It's what we do. So I'm quite prepared to move the recommendations 1 through to 4.
That's correct, 1 through 4, Your Worship.
Yep. So someone prepared to second that?
Yes, I will.
All those in favour? Yes.
Yes.
Carry.
And just a reminder, I'm sure through Julie, Your Worship, that as we get into decision making, that we do take that time to those for, hands up, those against, hands up, anybody abstaining, hands up. Just take the time to do that properly as required.
Thank you for that, Steve. Item number 2, page 15 in your agendas. Temporary closure of transfer stations. Donna, welcome, Donna.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, everybody. So this report is outlining what our current and historic financial state has been associated with the transfer stations spread across the district. Following on from this morning's discussions, solid waste operations has now formally fallen under my portfolio as of a week ago. And prior to Christmas, the Chief Exec requested that I actually start assessing the solid waste operations budgets and any areas of operational economic improvements. So one of the areas that has become very clear to me is our current temporary transfer stations, that we're providing a level of service that would appear on a financial perspective to be at a higher level than what is required and requested and utilised by our communities. So just going through my project report here, we've got 6 manned transfer stations and 2 unmanned transfer stations across the district, with, as you can see within the table presented in the report, limited hours of operation where members of the public can either bring their household waste or, in some facilities, only their recyclable waste. All of the transfer stations, with the exception of Papatowai, also receive curbside collection. And I think this is quite a critical piece of information for your consideration, because we're really not reducing the ability to have their curbside or waste collected. They still have that option, apart from Papatowai Township. The current operation model for the service, as I explained, is only open for minimal hours, and it is a very labour-intense current process where the cash, in particular, if it's collected at the transfer station, it's laborious and time-consuming as regards it goes across 3 to 4 different sets of hands before it actually gets to the position of being banked by council staff. From reviewing the financial year-end results for solid waste operations last financial year, so the 24-25, this service had a year-end expenditure of $111,000 and only revenue received across the entire district for all of these transfer stations of $4,500, which is a $106,000 loss just for that operational activity within solid waste operations. Each transfer station on site, on average, has a monthly cost of $1,000 to $2,000 per month with our current maintenance contractor. From the projections completed for this financial year that I've actually looked at, we're tracking actually to be spending $116,000 for operational costs associated with the service. The current operation model, in my view, is unsustainable. So I've also provided a number of options for you. Option 1 is that we would like to temporarily close all of the transfer stations in the towns where there is curbside collection, as all of these locations, with the exception of Lawrence, are within a 35-kilometre radius of Balclutha. And I actually, I triple checked that with Google Maps from location to location, township to township rather. Hence, members of the community are able to bring their recycling to Mount Kui, and it would also encourage the opportunities if they want to do some shopping, go to a cafe, so on and so forth, get their grocery shopping, which a number of the members of the townships where they get the curbside collection do not have supermarket facilities. So that would suggest that members of the public are currently doing this, whether it's on a monthly basis, bi-monthly. Although Lawrence is 56 kilometres from Balclutha, last financial year we only received $505 of revenue for the transfer station. This indicates to me that this facility and service is underutilised within that community. I've also included a table for you to show what the revenue that we received last financial year by transfer station. McLennan, which is Papatowai, and Beaumont, these townships do not receive curbside collection and are over 60 kilometres away from Balclutha Township. Although currently they are not cost effective, we propose to keep these transfer stations open this financial year to enable a full review of what and how we could continue the service to these communities, with the intention of bringing our findings and recommendations to council at a future date. Papatowai, definitely in the summer season, does get highly utilised compared to the other transfer stations, and a lot of that is from tourism. Tyree Mouth, some members of the community currently pay for a private bin collection from contractors within Dunedin City, and the skip provided is for recycling only. We would also like to retain this service for the remainder of this year, again, whilst the team determine alternative options. Option one is the preferred option that we're proposing to council. Option two is to temporarily close all transfer stations this financial year, whilst the team investigate future business proposals. Although financially this is the best outcome, we will be reducing service to areas who do not receive curbside collections, predominantly Papatowai, Beaumont and Tyree Mouth. But Tyree Mouth, again, must stress, is purely recycling, and they are only 27 kilometres to Green Island, Dunedin, which for members of the council, if you're not aware, that is Dunedin's landfill site. So they only have a 27 kilometre length to travel. Option three would be to retain the current business model and continue operating all transfer stations where we know we will run a deficit of effectively 110 to 115,000 this financial year. So on those, I'm open to questions.
Councillors, questions for Donna, please.
I would just like to make a comment. Thank you for this report, Donna. I think that considering council is going down the track of being quite prudent with their finances and looking at options to go as they come up, I think that this is something we need to consider carefully. It's obviously running at a loss, and there's obviously a place to save money and save the ratepayer some money just by a little adjustment. So I'm quite happy to move, Your Worship, option one.
So further discussion. Yes, sorry, councillor, so that there's ability for a full debate if it's necessary. What tends to happen is questions of staff.
Yes.
Once questions are finished, then the mayor opens it up for discussion.
Sorry.
And then you can go from there.
Councillor Catherine.
Through Your Worship. With Papatowai being such a distance away, how long do you think that review to make that decision moving into that next financial year for a solution that's costing $2,000 per month to operate that, bringing in a return of $1,900 for the year? That also needs to be, I suppose, quickly addressed as well to find some type of sustainable model that works for both the residents and the overall ratepayer, how long do you think that model would sort of?
So through you, Your Worship. So back in September of last year, Council had provided a resolution to approve for my team to do a whole strategic procurement commercial viability assessment of the Mount Kui landfill and the entire solid waste operations associated with that. So as you can appreciate, this is a really big piece of work, and the intention is to be able to bring to Council in May our findings for the whole strategic approach moving forward. If we can piecemeal it, perhaps we can bring it forward to other months as well. But it is a big, big piece of work.
Just through you, Worship, just thinking, I mean, like, the timing's unfortunate because the proposal is obviously trying to deal with something this year that you may or may not make a difference on in terms of deficit, depending on what decision you make. We're doing budgets, but May's too late for budgets. Like, if you're wanting to increase the fees, you can't do that unless you put it through the consultation of the annual plan. Any fee increase is probably going to be unsustainable given the big difference between how much it costs and what you're recovering. So another alternative is rate funding. But if you rate funding, it needs to be a rates funding subsidy as opposed to a deficit. Then that needs to be part of the annual plan as well. So what we need to be doing is, if depending on your feeling for this decision here, we still have to think about what we're going to propose for the annual plan budgeting, and whether or not we can make a difference between effectively keeping the budget as it is, which is just going to be a known deficit, or doing something about it in the annual plan process. So we do have to do some discussions ourselves around what we need to do. We've got a limited time period. 12th of Feb is the workshop. And then we start doing the consultation material. So we're a little bit stuck ourselves, and we need to think ourselves about where we go, but whatever decision you take will assist us in steering us in terms of what we might need to do for the annual plan.
Councillor Harrison.
Yes, through you, Worship. I'm just wondering, Donna, you say that 6 of these are manned, and what is it through council staff or is it through community?
Sorry, through Your Worship. It's through our maintenance contractor.
Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, Donna. I appreciate you've only just taken over this portfolio. But has there been a trend on transfer station use that you know of?
Through you, Worship. So to be fair, I've only done a high level look at that. Going with the financial information, it's very clear that it is being underutilised. The recycling is being used, but then you'd have to consider the economic viabilities of retaining for recycling, considering the kilometre radius to get to our main recycling sites.
So you don't know that it's been trending, the use has been trending down over the last 5 years, or has it always been at that sort of level that?
Through your Worship, so from the information that I've looked at, it's been kind of constantly steady at this deficit.
Thank you.
Councillor McCrossy.
Just, I'm not against this by any means, but also what does worry me is added fly tipping. And if this does happen, how quick would it be that we could put this back in place, even if it was every second week or something? Because like a lot of this has got curbside. Those places that haven't, if we drop to it every 2 weeks or once monthly or whatever, it's a recycle.
Through your Worship, so that's all part of the whole analytics that we'll have to do and to determine. And in an ideal world, you want to find that sweet spot where it's commercially viable and also providing the right service levels. So I have made considerations into the 26-27 budgets. but we just need a little bit more time, because as you can appreciate, I've had a couple of weeks prior to Christmas and then leading into here.
So in your eyes, Donna, would we be better off to keep doing what we're doing? Do we analyse?
Through your worship, my proposal is option 1, to help reduce the projected deficit in solid waste operations this financial year.
So again, through your worship, we had discussions at risk insurance, didn't we, about the concerns about deficit? So that 100,000 that Donna, the good thing is Donna's identified areas what's contributing to the deficit. So here's 100,000 around that it's just going to happen each year unless we do something to rectify the budgets and determine how it's to be funded, as opposed to just letting it go and waste overspends by 100,000 on this subject straight out every year.
Any further questions for Donna? Councillor.
Thank you. So on this, we have how much each area has earned. What does that equate to? I mean, how much is it to dump your rubbish? I mean, because obviously there's not high numbers there, so it can't be being overused. So maybe that would mean there wouldn't be that much waste being fly tipped.
So through your worship, so all the townships that we're proposing to temporarily close the transfer stations all get their curbside collection. So they would only be going to Mount Kui if they're wanting to actually take a trailer load or a bootload of rubbish and material. To answer Councillor McCrosty, I've done some research with other councils close by, and they have stated that their fly tipping hasn't increased when they've gone to this approach. On top of this, we are looking into opportunities. Historically, you have been able to get additional funding from NZTA for fly tipping under work category 121. So I've already made those thoughts and asked the team to look into that with the next NLTP round with NZTA.
Any further questions for Donna? Well, thank you for that, Donna. We'll move into the discussion on this one. Righto, councillors, what's your train of thought? Councillor Kennedy.
I live in one of the areas that does have a transfer station, and I've always wondered why. Because we do have curbside thing, and okay, Western Park is a long way from Valclutha, but you're 30 minutes away from Gore if you've got bigger things that need to go to a tip. So I'm quite in favour of that we do this, especially for the communities that already have the curbside in place. The transfer stations need to be shut off. The other ones, I'm quite happy for them to remain as they are at this stage until we can find a better solution for them, or once we've investigated what's best for those areas. But I'm quite happy with option 1 when you're ready.
Bruce, Councillor, Bruce.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? 111,000 or whatever expenditure and $44,500 return. That's a pretty shrewd sort of business plan. And considering that a lot of people around this council campaigned on cutting inefficiencies and saving money, I can see option 1 cruising through.
Councillor Cathwood.
Yeah, I'm in full support of option 1, and I look forward to the findings by May. I think there might actually be some smaller community solutions once they realise the cost of actually getting rid of their wastes. So I'm looking forward to the team coming back with their solutions for May, the overall district. And with option 1, the people that would utilise the Oaka system now, I don't think it'll be too far out to be losing their transfer station when they've got an option to bring a wheelie bin into the pickup area. So I'm happy on option 1.
Anything to add, Councillor Frosty? Councillor Smith. Councillor Harrison.
No, please, option one, sounds good.
I'm prepared to move my recommendation.
Oh, yeah, well, just Councillor McAtamney, any discussion? Councillor Frost?
Yeah, now, God, one's the best. Would it work?
Okay, well, I'll take recommendations. Councillor Cotton was hot out of the blocks earlier, so,
Yeah.
would you like to?
Your worship, I'm happy to move recommendation 1, and recommendation 2, that the council approves the temporary closure plan of the proposed transfer stations for the remainder of this financial year, and options 3 and 4 does not approve. We need to do that.
Second it. Councillor Graham. There's Julie's request. When we call for all those in favour, please hold your hand up. Unanimous. It's moved, it's carried.
That's it, your worship.
Thank you, Donna. Right, we'll move on to. Okay.
Yep.
Moving on to item number 3, Jules and Dee, please, vehicles on beaches bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. As in the report, there has been a history of discussion around this for quite some time at the council for over the last 4 years, which was also recently discussed by the previous council approximately a year ago, and then more recently by the new council, where there have been a number of newly elected representatives and a direction given to staff to bring this back for a decision at this council meeting. So in terms of that, happy to take the report as read and take any questions. And I have Yay here to answer any technical questions as well, Your Worship. So happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you, Jules and Yay. Now, pretty important decision coming up here. New councillors have Yay's here to ask anything technical. If there's anything you're unsure about, now's your time to ask the questions.
I find I've read back through the last couple of years of meetings.
No questions? Councillor Catherwood?
Well, the questions comes from the meeting that we held on December 10th. It was the action plan to get the reduction of speed on our beaches throughout the whole district. I'd like to give an update of where that.
Yep. So as noted in the report, council are actually proceeding with it. There is a, it's going to be part of the report to council actually as part of the infrastructure strategy and delivery update later in the meeting. Yep. But I do have my colleagues here from infrastructure team if you would like any clarifications now.
Yep. We do have a microphone.
Yeah. So did you want, yeah, Titus maybe?
Yeah.
Thanks, team.
Yep.
Just to give you guys an update on where we are with the vehicles on beaches, speed limit review. So there is a fairly rigorous process we need to follow in terms of vehicle speed limit reductions on beaches. It needs to follow the 2024 rule on setting of speed limits. The team are currently working on a technical assessment, which will then be followed by a 6-week consultation, public consultation period. Now, we also have a number of other targeted speed limits that we are reviewing around the district. So that's around 9 or 10 different roads. And we plan to tackle them all together. We should be going out for approval to the director somewhere around the end of May. And the intention is to complete this process before the end of July.
So end of May for start of public consultation?
Yes.
Anyone else got any questions for Titus? I'd just like, I've got a question or two, Titus, just to reiterate, and it's not in this item here that's up for discussion at the moment, but that was a key outcome of our workshop back in December about going down the path of speed limits. And the reason behind that was because currently the regulators have got no teeth to prosecute anybody that is being vigilant on the beaches, correct?
That is correct, yes.
I think that's a very important missing part of this document for the public. So I've got a question. Right, any other? Rachel, oh, sorry, Councillor Harrison. Kennedy, any questions?
Just to remind us all here that beaches are actually classed as roads, aren't they? So this is why we are actually going down this process of probably slowing down more than what you would on a normal road, so that people can actually visually see things before running things over. No, that's all good. Thank you.
Councillor McAtee. Questions? Sir Graham?
Are you a beach trawlers before?
No questions, Your Worship.
Councillor Frost?
No, none from me, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
For that. Right, discussion. Councillor Graham?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaws, laws, regulations, they don't mean anything if you can't enforce them. And whatever laws they bring in, you're going to get an element, quote, dickheads, that are going to break those laws. So I can't see any advantage of changing what we have here, except for a speed limit changes. I've talked to people from Tokamouth and beach areas, and generally in the past they've policed it themselves. If someone has been a dickhead, they get told, and if they be a dickhead the second time, well, rough justice. So look, I can't see any advantage of closing beaches or making safe zones. If there's plenty of incidences where people have taken photos of beaches covered in wheelie marks, or someone hassling a baby seal or something. Where are these people if they're taking photos there? Why can't they take photos and take it to the police? You know, if they've got the wherewithal to take the photos, take it to someone who has got the teeth to do something. So I can't see any advantage of not going option one.
Further discussion, please. Councillor Cathwood.
Through you, Worship. I'll be amending a recommendation to include a further sentence. The council confirms its direction from our workshop. No further review of safe zones should be undertaken as part of the work program. And just to have it here on council record of the direction that we're heading as far as speed reduction. So to add to it, with council moving forward for a speed reduction of all Truth District beaches by July 2026.
Sorry, just on that, it would be a speed limit review. I don't believe you can actually make that decision right now without the review being done.
Speed limit review by 2026? July?
Oh, so
okay.
We're going back to questions. So how long does it take to do a review?
Sorry, that's probably Titus, but you'd have to go through the
Sorry,
consultation.
Titus.
If I can just comment there, so it does take around 2 months to complete technical assessments. We currently got 3 beaches on the list at the moment, which is Papatuai, Chautuka, and
beaches.
it is in the report, it's slipping my mind, which is the last beach. But if we were to add more beaches, that will extend the process a slight bit longer. But we can try and squeeze it in for consultation by the end of May.
So sorry, as far as I'm aware, 4 years ago, we decided as a council that we would reduce the speed on all beaches within the 4 years ago.
That is fine, we can add all beaches. We were just considering the most critical beaches at this point for speed limit reduction, but we can certainly add all beaches on.
Just through you, Worship, I mean, there was a workshop on this, we talked about the 10th of December,
Yes.
where it was discussed at the time. I don't recall that the direction was specific about necessarily all. We need to go back and see what it was. There was a direction given, and we can check what the direction is. So we just have to be a bit careful around that. I mean, staff will do what we've directed. At the moment, staff were acting on a direction that they thought was 3 beaches, so they must have got it from somewhere that was what it was.
But also that doesn't exclude us from actually making the change to this recommendation, though, does it, for including all beaches?
No, but I'm just.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, if we go back and review it, but if Councillor Catherwood wants to make an amendment to the recommendation, that can be taken if it's moved. Sorry, Titus, so we go through that part, the review process. How long before we can actually get some teeth and actually start doing some action after the review?
So currently we are busy with the technical assessment, which includes the safety audit of each beach. Once that is complete, we need to bring it to council.
Yeah.
And then 6 weeks of consultation period.
6 weeks after that, back to council, right? Yeah.
Back to council with the results of the consultation. Then it needs to go to the Director of Transport / NZTA for approval, and we aren't sure how long that process takes. Currently, there are very few councils across the country that have action speed limit reviews under the new 2024 rule. So we really don't know how long that last bit of the process can take. We've been told it can take up to 6 weeks as well for the Director of Transport to approve our plan.
Sorry, through your worship, under the previous rules too, we were looking at some blanket changes to speed limits. And beaches was one of them, and also all of our rural roads was another one that we were proposing. The government changed the rules and basically said you can't do blanket changes anymore. So that's why we have to go through the different process under the new rules. So even though we might have intended previously to do that, the rules all changed, and then we have had to go back to the drawing board.
Just to add to that, each and every road requires a technical assessment and safety audit of its own. Hence why the process is so long to review each and every beach or road.
So who's burdened with the cost of all these technical assessments?
So as part of the technical assessment, we do a cost benefit analysis, and that's what comes to council to decide if it is actually worth us going ahead with that speed limit review, because it will be our cost to bear as council.
Just to answer your question, this is funded 67% by NZTA, 33% through local share. As part of the requirements that NZTA stipulate.
Right, cool. Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned that we might be re-elections before anything happens, that's all, with all these reviews and waiting on the minister. So, Councillor Kennedy.
Just a question for you. Is this, are there other councils that do have lower speed limits on beaches?
I'm
Or
not
are we
actually.
starting to poke a bear there?
I'm not actually sure. Titus might be better to answer that. I know of other councils that ban vehicles on beaches. I believe Auckland recently did one for one of their beaches, and I know that I think Dunedin does it, and south of us, I think, in Invercargill, around there as well, Southland. But in terms of restricting speed on beaches, the roading team might have a better, infrastructure team might have a better grasp on that. Sorry, Titus, I don't know whether the question was, do you know of any other councils that have applied to reduce or have affected the reduction of speed on beaches?
No, I don't know of any other councils that have done any speed limit reductions under the new rule for beaches specifically. I do know of other councils that have affected the new rule for targeted roads within the district, but not beaches.
Councillor Cotton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Can I ask a question? One of the speakers earlier mentioned signage. Is do we have a policy around signage on beaches? Is there a generic thing? Is there a budget for that? Obviously, it sounds like there's been old signage that's due to be replaced, and I know Mike's taking notes on that, but what are the parameters we have around that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, a council can put a budget for anything. If you want to put a lot of signage in and there's a cost to it, you can budget for it and you can do that. Signage was part of the vehicles on beaches bylaw provisions based on what was actually agreed and approved in the bylaw, because there are provisions in the bylaw that still exist in that sense. So that's what the signage was based on in that sense, in addition to private or public related signage that also goes up. But at the end of the day, you ask the question, can council do more? Yes, council can absolutely do more if you want us to do more for it.
But my understanding is there's no point in putting a sign up unless we've got something to back it up. And at the moment, we've got nothing to back the sign up. So we need teeth.
That's what I'm looking for.
We need to get the teeth, put a sign up, cross the boundary, suffer the consequences. Actions have consequences. At the moment, we don't have anything to have teeth to make sure those consequences do happen.
Thank you.
Another thing to note, we're not actually removing the bylaw, are we? The bylaw's still there.
Yeah, so just, I guess, as a background to this, the bylaw still exists. The bylaw refers, what we're talking about is the bylaw refers to a schedule that's attached to bylaw, Schedule 1 of safe zones, and safe zones restrict vehicles from the beaches. There's currently no beaches that are listed in the schedule itself. The question to be considered that was resolved at the meeting of the 20th of February 2025, last year by the previous council, was for staff to investigate the addition of beaches onto Schedule 1 after the elections. And the direction at the workshop in December last year by the new council was that this was to be removed from our work programme. So the paper is seeking your confirmation on that direction.
Shame.
Quiet, please. Thank you. We're trying to have a debate here. But it's not noted. I'll reiterate that again too. In this paper, that the discussion was heavily focused on signage and the speed limit.
Yes, that was part of the workshop paper itself. Yeah,
but it's not noted here, which is quite disappointing for some of the people in the public who aren't reading it. So,
Councillor, Your Worship, it is in the report that it does reflect that the December meeting did talk about the speed limit. So the report, this report to you, does reflect that speed limits was a direction of the council at the workshop.
Councillor
Yeah, just in the discussion, I might be going to buck the trend, but I'll probably vote against recommendation 2. I mean, I was part of the previous council, and we did agree that we would review the Schedule 1, the safe zones in the work program on the beaches, and at the workshop, I was open to a review. So when it comes to the vote today, I'll vote against recommendation 2 as it stands.
Thank you for that. We haven't quite got there yet. I'm sure there's more debating. Any further discussion? Right. We'll move on to recommendations. Anyone got a recommendation? Oh, sorry, you had one too with an amendment, didn't you? So you've got that one.
So Your Worship, though, if Councillor Catherwood is the first one to propose a resolution, he can propose whatever he wants. The resolution doesn't have to be an amendment as such. It's only an amendment if someone proposes for resolution 2. So it doesn't have to be an amendment. If Councillor Catherwood is the person with his hand up, and you give him the opportunity, he can resolve anything he wants.
So I'll go for recommendation 1 as read.
Perhaps Your Worship, you take that.
I'll take recommendation 1, that the council receives the vehicles on beaches bylaw report. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Crosby. All those in favour?
Honour your promise. Honour your promise.
quiet,
Safe
please.
zones on beaches. Honour your promise.
Please,
Honour your
quiet,
promise to
please.
consider safe zones.
I'll adjourn the meeting if you're going to carry on like children in the back there. Thank you. I thought you were adults.
Your Worship, just to be clear for all councillors, you're resolving to receive the report only. You haven't made an action resolution. Can we just get the hands up again, so we're very clear who's voting for that resolution to receive the report? Yourself as well, Your Worship. It's unanimous. Now the question is whether there's a second resolution.
Second resolution.
Yes, second.
Councillor Catherwood.
So recommendation 2 would read, the council confirms the direction of the workshop, December 10, that no further review of Schedule 1, safe zones of vehicles on beaches should be undertaken as part of this work program with final date of speed reduction review by July 2026.
But you want to make sure it's clear that it's all beaches?
All beaches, include the district.
Just be clear what that resolution is. And we'll just check Julie has got that, and could you read that back so we'll just clear what that is, Julie?
That council confirms its direction from the workshop on 10 December 2025 that no further review of Schedule 1 safe zones of the vehicles on beaches bylaw should be undertaken as part of the work program with the final date of speed reduction reviews on all beaches in the Clutha district by July 2026.
That's the resolution, and we'll need a second.
Are you happy with that, Councillor Kennedy? A seconder for that? Councillor Kennedy. All those in favour?
Now we can ask.
Yes, now we can ask, yeah.
Your Worship, there may still be discussion on the motion.
Discussion on the motion. Councillor.
So does that mean that we have to do a review that the man was over there talking about for every beach? A risk assessment or whatever it was called?
Yeah, technical assessment for every single beach around the Clutha district.
But that'll only apply to the beaches that can get vehicle access, won't it?
At the moment, technically, the resolution you're proposing is to reduce the speed limit on all beaches in the Clutha district.
Yeah.
All of them are classified as roads under the NZTA legislation, which means that we would be looking at every single beach with the resolution as proposed.
Yep.
And can we just check that we had a very brief discussion from staff about we'll endeavour to make it happen, but can we just check? Could you just come up, because there's a question to be asked, and we want to check that actually things are achievable. Like I could imagine, for example, like a beach is a beach, but under sort of NZTA microscope, there's a difference between a long flat beach and something that's got not much or rocks or anything like that would prohibit it. And so a technical assessment's going to, under that microscope, is going to have to differentiate, right? You can understand that, but what you don't want to do is have to do that 100 times and force these sort of technical reports to that extent. So Titus, being the expert, or being at least part of the expert on this side of things, faced with that type of an issue, is there a way in which we can produce our technical assessments that will be actually achievable, as opposed to so exhaustive that it's just going to waste money and not necessarily achieve what we want? So you need to put your mind to that, because if we say yes to this and say it's achievable, then that's the task we're going to be given. So you've got a chance now to discuss that.
Just to clarify, the technical assessment will take into account the viability of actually reducing a speed limit on a beach. It's not to say that the speed limit will pass, it's to assess the viability of reducing the speed. If we find a bunch of beaches that have no vehicle access and rocks, there's no point in us proceeding further with the technical assessment into a road safety assessment and a cost benefit analysis. So we structure our technical assessments in stages. First, a general map overlay desktop review. Does it pass that stage? Yes. Then do we move on with the process further?
And so you believe that is achievable.
So we haven't looked at all the beaches as yet in terms of a technical assessment. So only once we are done with the first technical assessment stage will we know which ones would pass. At that point, we'll bring it to council to let everyone know these are the beaches that are passing and these are the beaches going out for consultation. Once approved, consultation period of 6 weeks will commence and conclude thereafter. After which we still need to collate all consultation comments, which will probably take some time depending on the quantum of comments received. And once that's completed, it needs to go to the director for approval.
This will be done alongside with our schools and those 9 particular roads.
So just to let you guys know, with the school speed limits, it's being submitted to the director for approval this afternoon. So we've already completed that process with the technical assessments, and that's already going to the director. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Joyce.
So will that need public consultation?
Not for school speed limit reviews. No, that's excluded.
Stick with the beaches, eh? Yeah. Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm just worried about the date. You're involving a government department, so I don't think you can. You may, yeah. I think it could be worded that maybe as expedient as you could, or rather than actually having a date there.
Your Worship, if you were going to be held to account for something, Titus, when, and if it was for all beaches as being proposed, when would you be able to reasonably confidently say you can complete the technical assessment?
If we are adding all the beaches in, I would likely say the technical assessment. We may just need to come back to you on this after assessing all beaches. I don't think it's a decision we can make on the spot.
Through you, Worship, just to support my team members here, recognising that we're currently working on annual plan, BAU, LTP, I think it might be a little bit ambitious to be able to deliver everything by July, just to support my team with knowing their current workload.
You're proposing an amendment there, Councillor Campbell.
October.
Your Worship, we can take that if the secretary agrees on this one.
Second, agree on that. So, further discussion, Councillor Frost.
So how do we determine, are these beaches all officially named? Or can we say, between Toko Mouth and Torre Mouth, that's one beach?
That's a question.
How does it?
That'll be a question to be answered after they've done their technical assessment. Yeah. We can't answer that right now, sorry.
I mean, I can assure you that we'd be looking at the easiest way possible to be able to address a technical assessment.
No further discussion? I'll have Julie read out.
Okay, so we've got it moved by councillors Catherwood and Kennedy and resolved that council confirms its direction from the workshop on 10 December 2025 that no further review of Schedule 1, safe zones of the vehicles on beaches bylaw should be undertaken as part of the work programme, with a final date of speed reduction reviews on all beaches in the Clutha district by October 2026.
Is there a seconder happy with that? Do we go back around the table?
You now do your vote, Your Worship.
All those in favour?
Sorry, Your Worship, is there a question?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So can we amend this? Because we've just heard that basically, if you want to do all the beaches, this isn't going to happen. That was my interpretation of what's going to happen. So if we want to protect the 3 beaches that are most affected, you need to amend that to say that it's only the 3 beaches. Otherwise, it could be 12 months, 18 months before you get your technical reports to make a decision on reducing the speed limit. Would that be a fair assumption?
Through Your Worship, no, I think part of it was that what we were just discussing is that we were much more comfortable with October than the June July figure that was proposed. So
They haven't done.
it gives us, Jodis?
Yeah, I think we can commit to October to have the entire speed limit process completed for beaches.
Right. We'll move on that recommendation from councillor Catherwood. So please, once again, all those in favour, hold your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
9, please just keep it up. Until Julie's happy, 9. Got it?
Yep. And those against? Motion is carried. We'll move on to item number 4.
Shame, shame, shame,
Goodbye, goodbye. Please come back when you're grown up. Please come back when you're grown up.
Insulting.
Come back when you've grown up. Come back when you've grown up, please. You want to respect, give it, or you won't get it yourself in return. Goodbye.
With respect to your worship, forgive my ignorance, I know you've only been going for an hour. I wonder if it's possible to have a short recess to allow councillors to have time while the clock's still fresh.
No, sorry. We've had a very big day so far, thank you. And we continue to finish. Right, we'll move on to item number 4. Lily.
For your worship, I'll take the report as read. I'd just like to add that as of at the end of January, there is $55,145 remaining, with $10,000 budgeted for the drinking fountain and seats. Any questions?
Questions, councillors? I chose the room empty. Questions first, please.
Yeah, your worship, I be remiss if I didn't mention, because I should have been looking to put something in the report, just the report suggests that the funding could be used for additional projects, and there's no issues with that whatsoever. However, the bit that's missing, which I think would be remiss not to say, is that if the money isn't spent, then it would offset some of the deficit that we have as well. So that's one of the financial concerns that you would be aware of. So you obviously have the ability to use the money on worthwhile projects, but equally, if you don't.
So that, I think what Steve's touching on there, like 5.2, not reallocate the residual funds, should be as a recommendation. Is that fair?
No, it does say approved, does not approve the residual funding, so you've got an option. Jules has reminded me that it is loan funding, so it's not the full amount that we're talking about, but I'm just saying, be remiss if we didn't say the principle of that aspect.
Yeah, the only other, through you, your worship, the only other little note there is this is public toilet funding, so if you're going to apply it to other facilities, we should probably, those loans should be raised in those other areas rather than public toilets. So there would be no net change in rates impact, just they would be funded in a slightly different way because they're community projects rather than a public toilet, which is funded.
Which is a totally different activity, is the same, isn't it?
That's right, that's why I just said small amount, staff would make those adjustments to get effect.
Councillor McTamney.
Yeah, through your worship, just to obviously with Jules, this seems pretty unprecedented. Has any such request been made in the past?
Through your worship, the unprecedented item might be coming in under budget. So, but we have. I think really the unprecedented part of this is it was driven by a community group. Council has reallocated. You would sort of look at reallocating funds from other funds in other instances, but we wouldn't normally reallocate roading funding if a project came under to somewhere else. But I suppose there's a project group that's done a really good job, and it's about reflecting what they've done and actually giving some of that benefit back to that community.
And through your worship, I think I do remember getting told off by council when staff made the decision to reallocate money. from one worthy project to another within the same community, and we got told clearly, you're not supposed to do that, please. It's your decision. So that's just another reason why we haven't done it.
Further discussion, councillor Kenny.
Discussion.
Or questions, sorry. Questions, discussion, we exhausted
Well,
questions?
a bit of a question, okay.
Right.
This is all to do with our place. Kaka Point, wasn't it? Yeah. So over time, I mean, a lot of these projects have been going on for a long time. My question is, damn, I'm probably gonna think myself, but anyway, it happened in West Pago. We shifted funds because these are all to do with our place of the district. And I take my hat off to this group because this is a beautiful facility. I actually made a special trip down to have a look, and they managed to come under budget. So,
did you use the facility?
my grandchildren did, yes, they did. It was a wet, cold, miserable day, but they still put their dogs on and went into the sea. And they were Aussies too, so I took my hat off to them, even though they moaned about how cold it was afterwards. But yeah, I think this group can be very proud of what they've done, and I don't see why this community of our place cannot put the funds they've managed to save into one of their other projects that they've got up and down to help them if they're running shortfalls. Anyway, that's mine. Yeah.
So was that a question? Was that a question or discussion, councillor Kennedy?
It was a bit of both. My question is,
Please define them.
they've obviously asked around in their community what else needs help with. So,
Just through you, Your Worship, just to clarify, a lot of our place projects have been funded from investment surplus in the past.
Yeah.
In those instances, there's no change if you move it between projects. In this instance, this project was funded from public toilet capital. So it would be, that's why we're saying you can apply it to their other projects, but it wouldn't be appropriate to fund those projects from public toilets capital. We would put it into parks and reserves or wherever an appropriate grant funding source for that amount for that type of project. So you'd still be giving them the money, it would just be funded.
Haven't they got a toilet at their playground?
No.
There's an existing toilet there.
Yeah.
So it's not a new one. Is there, Mike? It's not a new one.
No, but they're not touching that toilet where some funds could go for that toilet to tidy it up.
No, well, they clearly state here what their intentions are as the information boards and so forth, so. Right, come on, back to questions, please. Of course, councillor Cotton, then councillor Capital.
Discussion for me.
Discussion, question?
Question for Lily. If we decline this, well, would the group have to go through the annual plan process to pick up the required money they're talking about? Well, bearing in mind what Jules has said.
For you, Your Worship, are you referring to the groups that they're wishing to reallocate the funds?
Yes.
To?
Yes. So the Deputy CEO has told us that this money was out of the toilet fund or whatever you like to call it, and these other projects are not. So if we were to allocate the funding here, would that shortcut then going through the annual plan process and submitting to that?
Yes.
And obviously it's going to have to come from other budgets.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Right, we'll move into discussion then. Councillor Capital, followed by councillor Harris.
Well, discussion. So obviously I keep in touch with this group. I've gone and seen the facility. Done a fantastic job coming along the budget. And as Councillor Cotton has just alluded, it's fast tracking it, and I'm sure that Jules doing a rejig out of the budgets from public to a different side of it. We just move the funds around, so I'd be happy to move that we approve that the residual funding of up to 50 be allocated to the 3 other Kaka Point community projects in recommendation 2. Yeah, take recommendation at the same time.
Moved, seconded for that, councillor Smith. Right, councillor Harris, you need a discussion.
Oh, no, it's more of a question actually through your worship. Lily, the other organisations, are they looking to apply for further funding from other sources as well? So it's funding that they won't have to look for in the future. So it'll just top them up.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah. They already have, haven't they?
Yeah.
Raised a substantial amount of money and there's a small shortfall.
This will just be the icing on the cake.
Yeah. So yeah, through the mayor, most of them have already gone for grants from other external sources. So this would just be getting them across the line.
I think it's a fantastic idea.
Councillor Graham.
Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm on two minds on this one. Like, if they hadn't come under budget and gone over budget, they would quite possibly come back to council for the money. So because they're under budget, they should really come back to the council and give us back the money. And considering it's different sources of money. And yet, on the other hand, I think with the harking back to Councillor McAtamney with this, I can recall a precedent where funding from one thing down at Kai, because it was underspent, was sent on another. I think it might have been felling of trees was come under budget and they re-spent it somewhere else. Council allocated it to something else down at Kai. So I'm on two minds here, but I think that has been a precedent in a way, but no, I won't be voting. I won't be supporting it.
Councillor McAtamney.
Yeah, I also won't support it on that precedent of it being loan funded. And but what I will say is I've been very impressed by what they've done and how they've come in under budget. So we actually possibly want more community groups to take on such a project, but we don't want them all having surplus cash either. So yeah, no, I think as a precedent, I think those groups do get another opportunity through the annual plan to come back to council too if they require some more help. We are looking to, we've talked about wanting to save money. This is an opportunity to borrow $50,000 at least.
Made the promises.
You didn't campaign. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I'd just like to make a point, Your Worship. Firstly, I do agree that this group's done a really, really good job. And I just wonder about the process. Like, I'm all for supporting them and that sort of thing, but I'm just worried about the process. And whilst I think fast tracking is a good idea, I just wonder whether, because it's loan funded, as Simon says, whether it goes back and comes out of another pot. And Jules has alluded to that. So do we have guarantees around that will happen?
No, so through your worship, if you approve the residual funding and the allocation of the projects, then we will by actioning that use the other buckets as a result. We can't use the existing public toilets bucket. But that goes with that one. Obviously, we don't need to deal with that if you don't approve it.
So just through you, Your Worship, just to explain. So for example, the components that still go towards the Surf Life Saving Club, we would increase the loan of that by that amount. So the rates impact will be the same, but it'll just start when that gets drawn down by that group. So in terms of what they've asked for, it'll go to the appropriate funding source for that.
Yes.
So the rates will be the same, it'll just be in a different place, and who it gets spread over will be slightly different than public toilets. So,
Your Worship, further to that, obviously this money's come out of the UAGC and
50%
district-wide. So if we agree to this and it goes through to the other side, would that be a local rate or ward rate?
It's a mix of different things depending on where they're funded at the moment. Like the playground project, it's being funded as a playground cost, it would be a loan on against the playground, which is 50% UAGC, 50% community of interest.
So very much the same.
Yeah.
So come on. Question. Yeah.
No, it's not the same because
It's different.
it's 50% district-wide, councillor Cath.
There's a capital rate.
Yeah, yeah.
Not community of interest, it's talking district-wide. So there's a process. Just can't go chucking it around like confetti. Right.
Right. So the recommendations are there.
So, right, we've got, I'll take motion on recommendation 1. That council receives the Carter Point toilet and changing facility, use of residual funds report. Councillor Kennedy.
It's already been done.
That's for resolutions 1 and 2.
Oh,
We've
sorry.
done
Oh, sorry.
one and two. Show of hands.
We have to break them up.
So that's just number 1.
Yep.
Kennedy,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it was Harrison. All those in favour? Right.
This is
just receiving.
Yeah, receiving report.
All in favour. Now you're on to number 2, which is the
yeah, number 2 recommendations that we approve.
And that was seconded by Brendan. So all those in favour?
hands up.
Put your hands up.
1, 2, 3, 4. Your worship, are you voting, your worship? Gotcha. 4. So you got that, Julie?
Yeah.
And those against?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your worship.
So motion, recommendation declined. Anyone want to make any amendments?
Well, your worship, given that it was basically a direct negative sense of approved does not approve, if there are no other resolutions, then it just doesn't happen, right? If there's a different resolution, then something else might happen, but if nobody else is proposing anything, then you don't have to do anything more.
That's what I'm
Because the
saying.
intent of it is that it's not going to happen.
Is anyone proposing any more? That's what I was asking the question. And Jules has given you the options.
So we're not fishing for one.
You're not fishing for an option. The options, we're not fishing, the options have been explained.
An option to do nothing's been explained.
No, the reallocation and how to go about the process.
Right, so no other resolution?
I've got another resolution. Council will approve funding of $50,000 to be allocated to the 3 other Kakapoint community projects and funding shortfall from investment surplus.
Discussion.
That's
That's a beauty.
As per the resolution.
As per the resolution, plus what did you add on there?
Funded from the investment service.
Yeah. It's council.
Which we don't.
Oh, so it's the same, but some.
Council approves the funding of up to $50,000 to be allocated to the 3 other Kakapoint community projects with funding shortfalls from investment surplus fund.
Yeah, you just need a second for that.
With the 50,000 unspent from their fantastic project of building a public facility that they've taken full ownership of, be returned to the.
Are you writing a novel or are we writing a
Yeah,
proposal?
you can write the novel. Be recorded.
So sorry,
Wait for the movie.
are you wanting all that?
Yeah, put all of it.
As a proposed resolution?
Can you write it down?
Write it down and give it to me.
Yeah.
Crux of it is council approves funding of up to $50,000 to be allocated to the other 3 Kakapoint community projects that are underfunded, currently underfunded from the investment surplus. I'll leave it at that.
I'll just get Julie to write that down and we'll read it back.
Need a second.
Yeah, we'll wait, get it read out and then we'll get a second.
Right, that council approves funding of up to $50,000 to be allocated to 3 other Kakapoint community projects that are currently underfunded
from the investment surplus.
And the $50,000
No, that was the
underspent,
recommendation.
yeah, and the $50,000 underspent
That's a great effort.
from their public toilet.
No, that's been ridiculous there.
No, it's
You're
not.
changing the field too much for Julie.
No, no,
Come
just
on.
get it written down. Can you write it down, Dave?
Write it down, Dave.
I'll send it to you.
Or if you want us to make,
We've
you've got to vote on it, you better
Sorry, and the
send it
50,
quickly.
and the
50,000 of underspent fund on public infrastructure formed by the community group is returned.
what? Return to the community.
No, return to council.
It's returned. Public toilets, some public toilets in there. Change that.
No more changes.
Jesus, Dane. That council approves funding of up to $50,000 be allocated to 3 other Kaika Point community projects that are currently underfunded from the investment surplus, and the $50,000 of underspent funding on public toilets.
Infrastructure.
Okay,
Yep.
Chairman?
by the community group is returned to council.
Can we make that up to, because that's not the actual amount? Up to
Up
50.
to.
Yeah, up to.
Up to.
So that's a resolution. Your
So that's the
worship.
resolution. Do we have a seconder?
Oh.
No, so that's off the table. Just briefly, the discussion, it was only in the order of 45K is what they're talking of returning. I don't know where the 50,000 come from.
Sorry, through you, Your Worship, just to confirm, we hadn't had the final numbers at that stage, so the report was written to cover what the expected underspend was.
I think moving forward though, we need a bit more detail on some of the reports because all these little stories come out when the question's been asked, when you've already known that that was the case. So at the time of writing the report. So
We didn't know that at the time of writing.
but you just said that you knew that it wasn't the full amount.
We expected it to be
Yeah, you
under
expected,
50,000.
so a bit more detail would be much appreciated in some of these reports moving forward. Thank you. Right, where do we go to from here?
Number 6, Your Worship.
Moving on to number 6. Five.
Page 25.
Page 25. We just want to actually stop for a bit of a break.
Now.
Now, we just need the
Now.
Paku. Okay,
This one might be Chris.
This one's
Craig, oh, Craig, you come specially in, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely, well, you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Item 6, please, the Belclouth is, yeah. 5. Oh, Jesus. Oh, back and forth. Craig. Let's go.
Out in the office it's quite warm, so everyone was commenting on you're wearing a tie with shorts. I thought, well, my teachers did when I was at primary school, so it's allowed, but it's really cold in here, so. So, Your Worship, Community Councillors, I'd like to take my report as read, just with one note, please. Item 4, under consultation, where it says that the event was advertised in the Tuapeka Times community newspaper. We actually elected to advertise it in the ODT, and that was advertised on the 13th of December, not the 11th. And the reason for that being that Eldorado track lies pretty much midway between Lawrence and Outram, and so to capture people from both communities, we decided that we'd advertise in the ODT, where normally that level of road would only require advertising in a community newspaper that the community actually read. So, okay, any questions? Yeah.
Councillor Cotton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Craig. Just a question. Do you have direct contact with people that are living on that road or very, very close to it? The reason why I asked that is in the past, there's been temporary road closures around the Lawrence area before, and some of the residents have been oblivious to it.
Yeah, so we did, and that was raised, I think, with last year with another event that was in the Lawrence area, and I did follow up on that, and I've had, and we do have a form as part of the road closure. They visit residents and have a sign sheet. So, and there was an oversight on the part of the organisers with that last event. So we've made sure that that loophole's been closed. And,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh, it's really good that you took on, I think it was late last year, about the lack of information flow for the Lawrence. Yeah, it's really taking the bull by the horns here, Craig. Well done.
Yeah.
Information's key.
And it is worth noting that they did actually first want to run this event 2 years ago, which was shortly after the organiser, Ian Thomas, was a member of the Otago Sports Car Club, and he recently passed away, and his son had always looked at this road and thought that would be great to do a skid on it. And the day he rang me up to talk about, I think we could do a skid on this road, we had gravel trucks putting metal on the road. So I said, maybe not this year. So, yeah.
Any further questions for Craig? Any discussion? Anyone like to? Councillor Graham.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Any chance that we have an increase in the carbon footprint, we should be, so. It's
not right.
Planted enough trees to cover it.
Councillor Cotton's got plenty of trees.
Yeah.
I'll take, anyone want to recommend recommendation 1? Yeah. Councillor Cotton, seconded by Frost. Recommendation. Sorry. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Recommendation 2, do I have a mover? Councillor Crosty, seconded by Councillor Harrison.
To approve.
To approve. Yeah. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Carried. Yep, you have your break now. Well, how long would you like to break for? It's 3:10.
I need
3:30.
2 minutes.
Lovely. Welcome back, everybody. We will move on to agenda item number 6. Welcome Sharon and Sonia.
Thank you, Your Worship. So Sonia pretty much wrote this report and she's here to learn how to speak to these going forward. So
Lovely. Welcome, Sonia.
let's take it easy and be kind. Okay, so this report is pretty self-explanatory. It's from the Balclutha Scouts. They had a change in office bearers and the one who's been there has only just found out they could apply for rent reimbursement, which they did. They applied for all 4 years at one time, per the letter that's in here. And so per policy, Sonia granted 1 year's worth that fell within the policy, and the reason we're here is for you to make a decision on the other 3 years. They asked that we bring it to council for decision. So if you have any questions, we will try and answer those.
Questions, please, Councillor.
Oh, just a quick question on that. How's the balance of that particular fund currently?
This fund, the reimbursement of rents fund, is full because they normally only come in at the end of the year. And it's different to the fees reimbursement. There's 2 budgets. There's one for each. And this one was underspent last year because some applications never come in at all. And there's nothing that I'm aware of, nothing at all this year yet. They normally come in at the end when they've paid their rent.
Councillor Cotton.
Have staff had requests like this before in the past?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, there has been the odd time somebody has missed something when they've had a change of office bearer or something like that, and they do come to council.
And were they supported?
It doesn't matter.
No, separate items.
But just thinking about it, I can't recall, but I might be wrong. The idea of going back, a number of years is probably not something that we had done in pathway before. And you would need to be careful a little bit about precedent setting and things like that. If somebody else goes, oh, goodness, I forgot about that. 10 years ago, I could have applied, then I put it for 10, and you said yes to this. So, there has been agreement in the past for rent reimbursement or fee reimbursement where they've had this sort of a problem, but it's generally been around things reasonably close to the time frame as opposed to multiple years after the event.
Through the chair, Sharon, was there underspend last year? Was it carried forward this year or not?
Through you, Your Worship, no.
Further questions for Sharon and Sonia? Or for Sonia? Sharon? We'll move on to discussion. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit too much. They aren't up with the play. Fair enough last year, but going back 3 years is just taking the mick. Sorry. I certainly won't be supporting it.
Councillor Catherine.
I'm in the same vein, actually. First opportunity. Otherwise, we could open up a tin of worms to other groups throughout the district. So I think we just.
You're agreeing with me?
Yes.
Councillor Crosty, you want to say?
No, I'm of the same opinion.
Of the same opinion? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I agree with it. Steve made a good comment.
Rachel.
Yeah, we don't want to
Sorry,
start precedents of relaxing the rules of going that far back.
Policy's a policy.
Councillor Kennedy, you got anything to add?
Nothing to add. Policy's policy. We've got it there. It's anyone can bring into council if they want to know these things, and going forward, hopefully the Balclutha Scout group have got it on their written on their paper that each time it comes up, please put in.
Councillor McIntyre.
No.
No comment. Councillor Cotton.
No, it's all been said.
Councillor Frost. No. I think it's pretty fair. The discussion is pretty obvious which direction we're heading in. So I'll take someone like to move recommendation 1. Councillor Brown, excuse me. Councillor Catherwood, seconder. Right, do we have all those in favour, sorry? Aye. Against? Carried. Right, anyone like to move any of the recommendations there in front of us, councillor Graham?
Skip recommendation 2. And the council approves payment for the reimbursement of, is it 1,100 and, no, what was that?
They've already got this.
Oh, they've got that?
Yeah.
So there was 4.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was getting confused, it's an age thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Move number 4.
I'll second it. Have you finished? Yeah. Seconded by councillor Catherwood. So, did you hear that?
Yeah, it's number 4, that council
You've
does
got
not
goodies.
approve payment. Yes.
So you're right?
Yep.
So, do you want to read it out again? So that
The council does not approve payment of rent reimbursement to the Buckley Scout Group for the 2021, 22, 22, 23 and 23, 24 financial years.
everybody's clear on that? All those in favour, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Carried. Right, we will move on to item number 7. Councillor Cotton's already noted his conflict of interest. Steve, can you help me here? Councillor Cotton's noted his conflict of interest, so what does that limit him?
So he's not taking part in the discussion, and he's not voting.
Do I need to leave the room?
No, you don't have to leave the room. As long as it's absolutely clear, you're not speaking to anything and you're not trying to participate in the vote.
Right, welcome Sharon, welcome Sonia.
Thank you, Your Worship. First of all, just to note that recommendation 3 should say does not approve, because 2 and 3 both say approve. Apologies for that, Julie. Okay, so this one is about the Lawrence Chinese Camp Charitable Trust. They've submitted to us before, and yeah, that was for building consent fees that totaled about $18,000 in the end, I think. And this request for reimbursement is of surge financial contribution and admin fees. They've applied using the fees reimbursement form, which says there's a limit of $1,500 you can claim. So they've attached all the information for the surge connection, but only asked on the form for $1,500. And I guess also to note for this one, they signed an agreement for getting the work done to get this connection connected, and they have already been invoiced and paid $47,934 for that work. That's to get the work done, and this is the connection fees they're applying for reimbursement about.
So, sorry, just to be clear, that 47,000 is the physical pipe work in the pump stations.
And contribution fees and everything like that.
No, this is what, no, it doesn't include contribution fees and stuff like that. That's what they're applying for here. The financial contribution is $4,934 and admin fees are $250, which is $5,184, and they've applied for $1,500 towards that. They're doing, yeah, it says in here, they're doing the restoration project.
So just to clear it up, did they pay that 47,000 and stuff themselves?
Correct.
Councillor Harrison.
Are you through? Just clarifying, why is it being applied for under the facility hire and rents policy? Have we not got another policy that kind of thing comes under?
Through you, Your Worship, no, we don't. It used to, the policy itself was broader until it was redone last year, and it was pulled in to just be community facilities hire and rents. So anything outside of that currently has to come through council. They could have just written a letter and not filled in the form at all.
Yeah.
But they chose to go that way, fill the form
Councillor Kettle.
So 4,700, is that the standard connection fee for the Lawrence? Or is it 40?
No, 4,900
Yeah.
for the connection fees. Yeah, that'll be in our fees and charges, amount, yes.
That's just Lawrence, isn't it? Every part of our district's got a different sewage connection fee, is it right?
They do at the moment, and through you, Your Worship. They're overdue for review, but given that the RMA was disappearing and they're also disappearing into a new water entity, we haven't changed them at this stage, but there are currently different water and wastewater financial contributions depending on the township.
Any further questions? Right, Councillor Harrison.
Thank you. Has this, have we supported trusts in this situation before where we've reimbursed applications for fees?
Through you, Your Worship, yes, we have. We've had another one in Lawrence I'm aware of, and I think one in Tapanui. That I could just think of quickly.
Councillor Kettle.
I just said in our financial impact, we've currently, we've got budgets 15.3 and now currently halfway through the financial year, we're at 19,618. Do we need to be looking at? So the Kai House and land package, how does that fall into that policy?
That is in the relevance here, is it? Oh, no, it is, Your Worship. It was a specific approval as part of the approval of the house and land package support for council. So we agreed it was going to be that amount of dollars paid out of the fee reimbursement fund. So it was specific to that objective.
So where do we intend on getting the outside of that? We're already 4,300 over the budget. With obviously probably more applications coming. Where are we taking this money from?
So it
balance this budget.
It ends up becoming part of the pluses and minuses at the end of the year. Until or unless in budget terms you decide to put more money into the budget or change the rules.
Councillor Grant.
Sure, you, Mr. Mayor. Did we give these guys fair work of money in the last year?
LTP.
Yep. What was that, sorry? Did we?
Through you, Your Worship, we gave them back their building consent fees of $18,689.
Right, that's the one.
Just
Councillor
finally,
McTamaney.
we did give them money through the investment surplus last year as well. Is that correct?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I didn't look into that one.
We gave them that quite a chunk of money more than we would have because of some vague wording or something. Didn't we? Because they had up to or something like that.
Yes.
No. Didn't we? May I ask him a question?
Oh, yeah, you can. We've done this before. You can ask for clarification of some of
Was
it.
it something like that, right?
Out of the investment fund, the trust was supported to the tune of $75,000. Their request was $275,000.
But I do recall the fee reimbursement related side of things in terms of the LTP decisions. There was the question around the amount you normally pay is X. And they got approval to go the full cost of the
There was
building
some vague
itself.
wording on it.
Yes.
And they ripped us off.
Yeah. No.
That might be the one you slightly clouded on, Councillor Grant.
You agreed by decision that the plan or the LTP to approve those by majority.
Any further questions for Sharon and Sonia? Go into discussion. What's the read of the room? Councillor Frost.
What do you want to know, Your Worship?
What you're thinking? Or do I really want to?
Well, I suppose I've just heard a couple of pretty good figures. What, they got 75 grand and $19,000, so I think they've done pretty well out of everybody else in the area, so I'll probably vote against
Councillor Catherwood?
Yeah. I think this should be coming back as an annual plan request, coming out from a different source of funding. Where they're asking for the funding to come from is outside the budget already, and not through the full financial year. I'd be going for recommendation 1 and recommendation 3 that reads that the council does not approve the fee reimbursement.
We'll get to the recommendation.
That's where I'll be heading.
Councillor Graham?
Very much on the same lines.
We're not being judged on our discussion here. This is part of democracy. That's a very important part of democracy. So I'm here we speak freely and then down here, nothing to be embarrassed about. So, Councillor McTammany?
Yeah, I can't support it either. I think they're asking for it out of the wrong source of funding, and we've been pretty clear about not setting precedents today for spending new money.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Kennedy?
No.
Councillor Harrison?
Yeah, definitely along the same lines.
Councillor Smith?
Soaking it up.
You're right. Councillor McCroster, anything to add?
No. 100%.
And personally myself, I think it is appropriate, what everyone's train of thought, so everyone's on the same vein. Would someone like to move recommendation 1? Councillor Graham, was it? Too quick, nothing wrong with all that, and then seconded by Councillor Kennedy. Right, all those in favour? Aye, against? Carried. Right, anyone would like to move a recommendation? 2, 3 or 4? Councillor McTammany?
I'll move recommendation 3, just correcting that wording though, that council does not approve fees reimbursement.
Seconded by Councillor Catherwood. Any discussion? I think it's pretty obvious. We'll go straight into calling for all those in favour. Unanimous. Unanimous.
No, you just don't vote.
Yeah.
That's
That's it. That's the LOT. Right, we'll move on to item number 8. Thank you, Sonia. Hopefully it wasn't too terrifying. Item number 8. Oh, apparently it's prepared by me. Yeah. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So who better than this caring person to appoint to this prestigious position than Councillor Kennedy? Any discussion? Any questions?
I just wondered if you've been asked.
Any questions? Move into discussion. I'm sure you will all agree that it was a great appointment. I had a moment of brilliance. Perfect. Can I please have someone move recommendation 1? Councillor Graham, Councillor Harrison. There's no arthritis in there today, Bruce. All those in favour? Aye. It's carried. 2 and 3. Yep. Councillor Graham, Councillor Catherwood. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Right. Congratulations. Round of applause. Right, item number 9, CDC government reform update. Steve,
Your Worship, I asked Yade, who actually really wrote it, not me, to carry their questions. We can deal with that as a team if we need to. But noting the time, it's still got a good summary of stuff there, and there's other discussions in other parts of the agenda as well. So leave it there, Yade.
Yep. Just a couple of short updates. So since the report was written, the emergency management bill submission timeframe has been extended to 15th of February due to the emergencies currently in North Island. I will also note just a couple of things from this morning's session. Councillor Graham, I think, mentioned about the costs, I believe, associated with government reform. You'll note on page 58, in response to the Christchurch City Council comment about government policies contributed to increased costs, the Minister of Local Government actually responded in the media stating that additional government financial support was not currently within the scope of government's current intent as regards to these reforms. Additionally, so we have received some of the submissions, draft submissions, and submissions made by LGZ and Taituara. In terms of the questions this morning, specifically on costs, the submissions noted that for the local government across New Zealand, it's estimated that resource management reforms will cost around about $860 million in establishment costs for the sector, and emergency management reforms, which I've mentioned previously, is projected to cost about $84 million. You will note in the paper itself that one of the in the submission to be made by Taituara, it does mention that for emergency management, cost burden will not be evenly distributed across councils. It is anticipated that it will especially impact rural and smaller councils and those with higher hazard risks. So those are just a couple of additions to the paper. Otherwise, I'm happy to take a few questions to the chair. Yeah.
Questions for?
Also, sorry, Yusuf, just note that Part A and Part B, in terms of the attachment A, that's basically our proposals around what we would be submitting on what we aren't. So if you say yes to this, then you're basically agreeing to what we're saying about what we think we can deliver, what we should be delivering on in terms of a council submission, as opposed to relying on other councils or our organisations to do it for us.
And I shall note on that for our simplifying local government, we have prepared a draft submission that will come to you in the workshop of the 12th of February for your consideration and direction.
Any further questions? Let's see, just note 5 here, I've lost it now, that any individual councillors would like to see a copy of the submission, just to let you know, is it?
Yes, so as soon as these submissions are actually finalised, they are published. We give links to it. If you would like to see the links, just let us know. Taituara, for example, has just submitted their rates capping submission, so it's now publicly available. We can link it. If it's not yet publicly available, if they're internal discussion documents, it's not yet for public. But I'm happy to kind of talk through it. There's some draft submissions that they are making in terms of the topics.
Any further discussion? Would someone like to move that we receive the report, recommendation one? Councillor Cotton, seconder. Councillor McCrosty. All those in favour? Aye. Unanimous, carried. Thank you. Confirmation of council minutes, item number 10. Already had a good look through them. Uh, 63, 64, 65, clickety click, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Graham, seconded by Councillor Harrison. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Mayoral report. Bit of light reading. Any questions? No questions? If you just want to know who the best schools have got the best kapahaka groups, I can just ask me later, I'll tell you.
Do you want us to ask now?
This lovely, the district schools prize givers were great. Would someone like to move recommendation? Oh, around the table? All right. Councillor McCrosty.
How we doing? What have I done? So it started off with council and workshop, and then represented on behalf of the mayor at the Milton School prize giving, which was a really good night. The pride in that school has changed so much in the last 2 years. And the kids were, really pushing for it. Went to the Toko and Peace show, we're looking forward. Torrey Mouth Amenities Society meeting, AGM last week. And apart from that, pretty quiet.
Thank you, Councillor Cossie. Councillor Smith.
Nowhere near as busy as been here. Just to clue the foundation for us, we've got a meeting next week, but there's been a whole lot of emails coming through, some massive big donations coming through to some of the communities. All sort of, I want to keep them under hat, but I was back in there. Met with Mike Goldsmith and Bruce last week again for our community portfolios. So that was actually, I think, really quite interesting, and where Mike's going and that. So hopefully that's going to come forward. And just on the rec centre, we had a resilience and strategy meeting last week, which is all about funding and operational going forward. So we're not relying on just the council. So we had Linda Moore come and chair that independently, and we've got a working group there now. And it's a 2-month turnaround of where we are for the next 4 or 5 years for sponsorship, membership, and all that. So just come out of that, getting the money over Christmas, which is very thankful. And just going forward, operational costs. So that was sort of me so far.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell.
Council workshops, great, getting a great resolution with the constituent along with staff member here in council. So over some food registration issues that have been ongoing for some time. So that was good to get a resolution out of that. Local community group meetings, all etc. Going forward last night. So not super busy on the council front. We've got a big fundraiser coming up for our local pool. We're doing a helicopter ball drop, 1,000 balls from the helicopter. There's a bargain on the table today. It's $20 for 3 balls, and the closest ball to the hole is $1,000. I'll grab a show of hands on who's prepared to put in $20 for a chance to win 1,000. I'll send you an invoice. Who's not prepared to? Come on, show of hands. Jules, $20.
Thank you, boss.
Yep. I'll organise it. Right. Show of hands.
Already got one.
1 or 2.
Settle that after.
3. Yeah. Steve, you'll be in.
We don't stand under the rules.
So anything else?
Councillor Catherwood. And in the back row, you would like to support the
Councillor Catherwood. Come on, back on track, son.
Good.
Anything else? Beauty, mate. Thank you. Councillor Harrison.
Very quiet from the last council meeting. I attended via Zoom a couple of LGNZ meetings, a Zoom one with National Council and with the Zoom on the rates capping, which was really interesting. And apart from that, very quiet until today. Just tonight, after this meeting, I've got the targeted promotions. So, starting back with a hiss and a roar.
Lovely. Thank you.
Community board get together, just going over some things and to see what would be needed on the agenda going forward. Sport New Zealand Assessment Committee, we had a good meeting on that one and managed to deal out a fair bit of money. Meeting with West Otago Community Centre, which is ongoing. Infrastructure portfolio meetings, which sadly last time I had to do by Zoom, but it worked out very well. So Zooming is working, teamwork. And the rest of my time I've been busy doing a frisbee golf course. Baskets are all in, so we're only probably about 3 weeks away from opening up.
2 frees.
Hey?
those basket things are called do frees.
Is that what they're called? That's me.
Water CCA meeting. Water's portfolio meeting. We also met the new program director for the CCO. A few of us met with the Task Force Kiwi on Saturday afternoon, a few wind damaged properties. And finally had a finance and policy meeting. Yep, for our portfolio. And that's me.
That's you. Lovely, thank you. Councillor Graham.
12th of December, I went to the Otago Museum Trust Board. Very interesting. Had a quite discussion on the how much we pay and how much other people don't, and how sympathetic they were to us, but they will be because they want money from everybody. But quite interesting. A tour of the collections. I thought I'd seen ex-councillor while we were there. But it was quite interesting, the issues that they have as far as earthquake strengthening and the cost of some of that. We're talking multi-millions of dollars for some of their buildings. So, quite interesting. Couple of infrastructure portfolio meetings, a community services portfolio meeting, and I too will be attending the Quiet Promotions meeting tonight. Looking forward to that one. Thank you.
Councillor Graham. Councillor Cotton.
Since the last meeting, it's been a Southern Waters meeting, Century Farm meeting, Civil Defence debrief, Spark, and we had with the chairman, I've touched on this before, I think, to Cromwell to investigate the entrance to Gables Gully. Then I had a month off. Had a rugby club meeting, Southern Waters meeting, portfolio meeting, and a wide Corey candle and battery visit all on the same day. An Athenaeum meeting on Jan 26, where we kicked off Dorothy Coburn's 100th birthday celebration week, which was pretty cool, which both the Mayor and I attended the official event later in the week. Then we met with Fiona Smith, and then after that we had a community board workshop in Lawrence. Jan 30th, met with a constituent and a ratepayer about the Weatherspoons Recreation Reserve and the upcoming lease renewal. As Simon said, met with Task Force Kiwi and visited a couple of properties in the ward. We'll note that they said that this is the best council they've dealt with because we're organised, they had an itinerary, there's people there to meet them. So really cool to hear that, and kudos to those people involved in putting that together. As I said, we attended Dorothy Coburn's 100th birthday celebration, and she has got her licence again, so something to aspire to. February 2nd, I met with an artisan plasterer to do some work on the Athenaeum building. But while we were there, we also discussed damage on the council building at 11 Ross Place, and it's something I can discuss with Jules or Steve later, but there is repair work and some mitigation stuff that could be done there if there's an appetite. Yesterday, Clifford Development meeting. Today's today, and tomorrow we've got another Southern Waters meeting. That's me.
Thank you, Roger. Councillor Frost.
So I've had a couple of small meetings with about civil defence in Milton, actually, with people in Milton. I went and visited the pump track with Kim Shillham in early December when they were building that portfolio meeting, and I was on an LGNZ webinar thing. It was to do with rates capping or something like that. That's about me.
Very good. Just on that note of that pump track in Milton, by Jokes, it's amazing the amount of children that go there.
Yeah.
Crikey, I drove past just to be nosy, and it was chock-a block, and they're coming down the streets like Whitebait. Crikey, it was all going. It's impressive. Rightio, so recommendation, anyone received that report? Move that.
So moved.
Seconded by Michelle. Always in favour. Aye. Right. On to item number 12.
Take my report as read, Your Worship. You can take any questions.
Any questions for Steve?
Not a question, but yeah, congratulations to all our internal movements and yeah, well done to all of them. And all the new ones that have come on board. Happy to move.
Well, just before we go into that question, Steve, the health and safety, like two were categorised as high, nothing too severe, loss of limb or hospitalisation.
Medical, yeah.
No, I mean, any medical event is still an issue. So it was, I don't believe it was an accident in terms of that. Affecting staff.
See one abuse incident there.
Yes, we have a few characters that continue.
Councillor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just on that, Steve, it doesn't annoy me, but I just to see why the need to put the percentages beside it, you know, because you look at it and it says, gee, 22% of the events are high, you know, whereas because it's such a small number, it's only 2 events. It just, when I read it, whoa, but yeah, I just, yeah, it's just me maybe.
I've just got a question for you, Steve. Item number 4 there, documents for consent and seal. Possibly some of the newer councillors aren't aware of what that's all about. We could just run it past them.
Well, there's still it's in the delegation manual that council still has to approve those documents for consent and seal. So when we use the seal, then we still need council approval. So that's why there's a table every single time I have a report.
Yeah.
That just catches us up on what those were.
We did, through you, your worship, did combine it from a separate report into Steve's report. So
yeah,
just because it's a regular thing.
Yeah. Right, no further discussion. Someone like to remove?
We have a mover.
Councillor Kennedy. I haven't asked yet.
I know, but she did it before.
Seconder, right, Councillor Harrison. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Recommendation 2 around the fixing of its seal. Any discussion, questions for Steve? No questions? No discussion? Someone like to move?
Happy to move.
Councillor McCrosty, seconder.
I will.
Councillor Cotton. Was there a bit of discussion over there, or are we okay to move? So all those in favour? Aye. Unanimous. Carried. Item number 13 on the agenda, page 79.
Yeah, just before, so we've got 2 or 3 reports, haven't we, coming up in that sense. And so this is part of the council meeting, not a committee, but the committee used to have all these things. These sort of reports used to take all afternoon in our committees. We're just starting at 4 o'clock. So just be aware, this is what life's going to be like with council meetings now, that these are how we do the updates. So just be aware of that when you look at the questions and or have the interactions. But I do know, for example, we used to spend 3/4 of an afternoon speaking about infrastructure strategy and things like that. So just conscious of it's a new thing, we're working our way through. There are comprehensive reports of varying degrees here. Bear that in mind because we're at 4 o'clock. Sure, sorry.
Thank you. Yep, through your worship, these will only be every 8 weeks, and the other council meeting will have those other committee meeting reports coming through. So this is a new, and the internal services is new. and as requested by our portfolio leads, there's hopefully a little bit of easy to understand information about what each of the teams do and the structure. And we've also moved the request under the Official Information Act into this rather than in Steve's report. So happy to take the report as read and answer any questions through you, Your Worship.
Councillor Graham.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Come to my attention today that there's the health and safety module that you do, that we did online, that there's follow-up ones to them. You've got to access them through an app, but
He's talking about safety culture.
Safety culture.
Through you, Your Worship, you can do it through a website through Safety Culture as well as the app. And if you've got an iPad,
well, I did mine through a link, and I've never anything saying, "Hey, download this app" or whatever you do. I was expecting the next one to come, and it's never has, and I feel left out because all the rest of you have probably done yours.
Yeah, we've got certificates.
And chocolates.
through you, Your Worship, we'll make sure we put the safety staff in contact with you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Jules? Jules, just a suggestion, like the internal services and moving forward with all the GMs, would it pay to actually have the portfolio leads on your workstream flow chart you've got on the agenda here, more so for the general public, anyone that's looking at the agenda online, then they can see who's actually allocated the portfolio?
Yep, we can definitely include that. Thanks for that suggestion.
It's more for the general public to benefit from. And regarding that, our portfolio leads are quite, with the internal services, quite happy with the interaction so far. Any further questions? No discussion? Would anyone like to move recommendation one? Councillor Harrison, seconded by Councillor Graham. All those in favour? Aye. Carried. Unanimous. Item number 14, page 85. How many pages? 40 pages, just a light read. Welcome, Donna.
Your Worship. So just leading on from this, as Jules explained, we provide these reports, and this report that I've given you, which is a 40-page report. Apologies for that, but we've continued the current process that we have done historically, and with the increased size of my team, a lot of other reports that would have been in different sections have now fallen into this one, just to identify that this is itemising in high level to some of the work that the team do with over a month to 2 month period, and work that they're continually working through. I had created a nice PowerPoint presentation to give you a high level overview of what the team do. However, considering the size of this report, I felt that we should just make it a bit more succinct in the background as to what the team do. We've had some new team appointments as listed here, and a resignation of one team member over this time period, and we've also included our org chart as we were requested to do that in this first instance. So in interest of time, I mean, I'm more than happy to go through each aspect individually, or would you prefer that if you have questions that you'd like to ask?
Just a suggestion that we go page for page. Otherwise, we're going to be scrolling and then go, oh, here's another question.
Thank you.
That makes it easier for others.
I've just got a question for the portfolio holders and the infrastructure strategy delivery update. Where do you see it at the moment? Is 40 odd pages enough for you, or is it too much? Or
I think it's probably
is it needed?
evolving, but there's a balance at the moment. That you don't need to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's getting that balance of knowing enough but not getting snowed down with stuff you don't really need to know. That if you want to know, you can email Donna or something. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So, but it'll evolve, I think.
Larry?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Any feedback on your portfolio?
Oh, yeah, I've
Too
found
much.
the meetings really useful, like really informative, sorry. So, yeah, we're learning all the time.
Not too much information overload for you? Or you guys are quite comfortable with it?
Oh, look, I think because infrastructure is what you see, everybody sees and comments on, you can't put it down in 2 pages, can you? So I think it's good. It's
It is a big portfolio, and as we go forward, things may change a bit, and there may not be a lot of stuff there. We've got to remember we are governance too. We're not operations. So we've got to be mindful of what we're reporting on. And I know this first report's a big one, but all of it's quite relevant at this stage. So yeah, hopefully going forward we might be able to cut her down a wee bit, but this is basically our biggest operation that we do, and that's what our lovely clientele out there see. So yeah, so we're just trying to make sure that we can represent and show everything that's needed for people to make their decisions.
It's good that these guys are comfortable with it. That was the whole concept of moving in this direction. Is that our councillors got closer to the GMs and we've got a good understanding and can all support each other. So I'll get on with some questions.
So just through you, Worship, so just to, I suppose, follow on from what the portfolio leads have commented on, we made the decision that Category A projects that are reported in risk and assurance would not be included in this report, so it's not a double up. So that saved some areas, and as Jules has just rightfully reminded me, thank you, in addition to this report, if we just quickly go to page 88, then we'll go back to the beginning. The contract awards information historically was part of the Chief Exec report, but it's been proposed that it's included in this report moving forward. So, going back to, I suppose we could start on page 88. Are there any questions associated with those?
Yeah, just for your worship, it's probably maybe for Steve or Jules, but the Nation Court community housing maintenance, obviously the re-roof, the 700,000, that'll be spread over the whole 98 units of community housing, is that correct? Yep. And then, so when does that rate or that rental increase hit our occupants of our community housing?
So probably through you, Your Worship, in the previous LTP, the council had a forward works program with a capital amount each year. And based on the projected increases in costs and that capital work, you approved a 6% rental increase per annum for those units. So the time that'll be reviewed will be when we're looking at the LTP again and saying, well, actually, have we achieved the cost recovery? We haven't increased the budget. What we did was change the timing of the budget to enable that work to be completed. So that'll be the work that Cosmos and his team will be looking at and saying, what's the future works that we've got planned? Have we achieved? Have we actually been cost neutral? And how are we going to deal with that going forward? So that'll be how that'll be handled. And the work's happening on that, will be happening on that area. now to look at those future costs for those units and what what rental increases are required to fund it. But it's funded as a portfolio across all 98 units.
Yeah, so the 6% won't be enough to cover the increase in rates and the re-roof across the 98. So where does the shortfall come from?
So no, through you, Your Worship, the re-roof was, all we did was move the budget from, a little bit of the budget from next year to this year.
Yep.
So it is within the budgeted amount over the 3-year period. That re-roof was part of the budget. I think it was, I can't remember the amount each year, it was 400 and something each year was budgeted for capital work, renewal works, and based on those estimates. Yeah, so I think some years are a little bit higher and some years a little bit lower looking forward. But that 6% increase was based on that and our projected rates increases. So we might be close, but that'll be reviewed and brought back to council to consider as part of the LCP.
Cool. 6%. Thank you.
Any questions? 89.
Page 89. So just in regards to the operations waste and green space, where we've currently got a deficit in the Clinton area, as the report states, that's associated from the October weather event. We are trying to see if there's any opportunity to get funding through the Ministry of Environment, but I'm not confident, but we are trying to see if we can get some funding, because there is still a number of trees around districts, parks and reserves that have fallen, where we currently we've got to realign with the budgets we have available. Maybe the area is safe, but they may not be able to be removed straight away.
Through you, Your Worship, that potentially could be something that council may consider funding through your emergency fund, but that's in the park, you can't really get insurance for trees, so it's something that we haven't had this level of devastation before, or it could be something you consider as part of your end of year. You're looking at that. That's what that emergency fund was for, this type of event.
The question, Donna, is possibly please liaise with Sharon on this, because when I do DIA do eventually front up my conversations with them, this will be part of our conversation. And on another note, meeting with the contractors at a workshop in Lawrence, the community board, so they actually said that they're really struggling to keep up, more so with a lot of the minor stuff, which is the low risk level stuff. So I actually made a point of telling them, if you know of any local community of interest that need, just the basic picking up the sticks and cleaning up, rubbish and that sort of thing, get them to get in touch with us at the Mural Relief Fund for any school camp fundraisers, cricket teams, netball and hockey and that sort of thing. So just the low volume stuff, so they can focus on the big stuff.
Have you moved to page 90, or was there questions?
Question on 89. Tapanoe is not in your graph, was the no wind event there on the park. The other thing is the big redwood that came down in Clinton, where did it end up?
So through you, Worship, I'll have to go back to operations team and ask.
Okay, I just wondered whether it was worth anything, that was all.
That's another story.
Oh, that's
In
another
Clinton,
story.
was it? Was it in Clinton?
Yeah, that was on the playground. The big redwood came down.
And also follow up is to why Tapanoe was left off the chart.
Well, maybe there was something in the parks there that needed tidied up, I'm not sure. It was the cemetery I was more thinking about, because quite often that's where some of the trees will go.
Questions? 90?
90?
91?
Just sort of been scrolling through looking for where it would slot under, but is on transportation. My question is, our roadsides are looking really scruffy throughout our whole district. totally overgrown, or totally understand and accept our spraying contractors have been able to spray due to poor weather we've had, wet weather of late, but have we still got budget there to address our vegetation control around our roading?
So through your worship, I'd have to check on that. We do have budgets available in its entirety with the roading operations.
Yeah.
By category, I'd have to review and come back, but I'll definitely raise this with operations, and we've got a governance meeting coming up with our maintenance contractors, so I can certainly raise that question at that time as well.
So the wind damage that's happened with our contractors, extra contractors picking up fallen stuff on that roadside, does that come out of a different budget, or is that coming out of that vegetation control budget? Or
Through your worship, anything associated with emergency works event.
Yeah.
So what normally happens is when you have a weather event, and I'm only talking for transportation in this instance, you have from the date that the state of emergency has been declared, our maintenance contractor and our roading operations team have 6 weeks to get all the evidence together, which includes photographic evidence, details by rapid number, so like your address number associated along the specific roads and the type of work that is required to be submitted to NZTA for consideration for emergency works funding. Until a decision is made on whether or not the funding is approved and to what value, that work must be covered by our operational budgets. Then once we get the funding, that the cost can then be, effectively journaled across from the operational budgets and paid for the emergency works funding. So to answer your question, normally spraying isn't emergency works, but it's not actually. But the cleanup absolutely is. So like spraying your roadside is not emergency works, that should be a
So I'd expect to still, we would expect to see throughout our whole district, there'll still be money in the coffers for us for getting our spray of our
correct, as long as
roadside
it's
sorted.
available. Environmental maintenance, which is work category 121, often gets utilised very early on in a financial year.
Looking very, very scruffy.
But I will certainly raise that to operations. Thank you.
Through you, worship, I think the issue may well be wind and rain rather
Yeah, correct.
than anything else.
Yeah. But I worry because I see the debris that's still sitting on, like that was part of that wind event. I accept that. It still takes time to get back there to pick the wet crap up. But the district was looking scruffy.
Yep. Noted, and I'll raise it with the team. Okay, I think we're up to page 91. Any questions on 91? 92? 93? 94? 95? 96? Am I going too fast or no? 96? 97?
I've just got a question for you, Donna, on 7.6, the school speed limit. So the schedule, was that part of that one we did a couple of years ago? We went around and met with the schools. So one that was, we did that and then it was stopped and now we're going. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
98, 99, 100. I feel like I'm at a thing.
Yeah.
Last night, 180, 101.
Winning number, really. This is good to have.
102, 103. Just as we're getting into the projects, definitely looking for guidance. So this is the format that we've historically done, but if going forward as a council you're thinking you'd like a different format, we're open to discussion, recommendations on that. 104, 105, 106, 107, 108.
Yes.
Yes.
Through you, where's your job? Contract 905 Springfield and Gormick Street. Just got a couple of 3 questions there. And I went back and couldn't find it. The people that live down there were told it was starting on the 22nd of September for 12 weeks. It's only not even halfway through now. We're at the end of January. Is there an issue?
Through your worship, not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure if Raymar can fill in any more information with them.
Through your worship, on page 109, I think part of the report also stated that we have encountered some hard rocks or hard ground, and that's what's driving that delay.
So my second question on that is, I see that they've asked for another 45,000 to get a bigger digger. I would have thought when they put in a contract price, it would have gone out, they would have realised that was rock. And for the last 2 or 3 weeks, there's only been a 3-ton digger there. I know some people there quite personally, and they've moved out while their job were done. But yeah, it seems a bit strange to ask them a whole lot more money when if you actually had to talk to the people in that area, that they could have been told it's all solid rock right up through there.
Through your worship, during the design of that, I believe that there was discussions on that. However, during the tender period and the strategy of the contractor who won that contract, they bear that risk if they didn't price for that. So, yeah, I believe that John was running that project that time, had multiple discussions with the landowners right over there because it's going through their private land.
Yeah, okay. I sort of just think it's a wee bit interesting, like, you know, that money, I still see we're under budget there, but the landowners that I'm aware of, and more than 1 or 2 or 3 of them were never contacted, and they could have actually said that they were showing them after they got the contract, solid rock and that, but it's just when we're looking at saving money and that, and tender prices and that, and who sort of approves that extra money at the time, just something to take note of anyway.
So noted, thank you. We'll take that back to the team. Any other questions on page 109? 110? Yes?
Plastic tanks and I reckon, what's going on, where are we at? 7 damaged tanks, like
So,
the old installation, obviously.
so through your worship, so yes, they were part of the weather event insurance claim, and they have been ordered. I have to follow up with Cornell, the project manager, as to delivery, unless Raymar knows off the top of his head. So I can follow up on, I know they've been reordered with the supplier, and I can find out delivery times. Cornell's on leave at the moment, but when he's back, I can follow up.
When's Cornell back, sorry?
Next week, Monday? Yeah, Monday. I'll just make a note.
What page are we on, Donna? Sorry.
It's page 110.
Worship. Through you, Donna, just on the Cut Point Reservoir, when is that expected to start? Like I know he's talking about complete by the end of the year. Is there other options there, especially with, I believe the pump house and that part of that scheme has got a few issues. Do you know anything about that?
So through you, the worship, no, I don't. I'll have to go back to Cornell and get some more details. So are you able to enlighten us on what you've heard so I can ask him specifically?
Well, it's all around the design and around the intake, I suppose, which I know this isn't about, but it's probably something I can bring up in the next report and have a discussion about. I'm sure Jules will maybe Linda may have a little bit more info on that. But there's a fear of a catastrophic event like we had at Evans Flat in November, and if that was to happen, it might not be too good. It won't be.
What happened to Evans Flat?
Catastrophic event, she went.
The tank or the?
Tank.
No, the pumping station. There's no reservoir here.
So I will follow up with
Yeah.
Linda Operations and
Yeah.
the project manager to get some information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on page 110? 111? 112? 113? 114? 115? So from 116, these are projects that are in the design phase, which means they're not in implementation yet, so we're still looking at drawings coming up in the estimates. So any questions on 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123.
Sorry, just 122. Just the Milton AC pipe renewals, just had discussed and with the operations team, we've got repeat breaks in Burn Street, which you may have seen. So just wondering, I know it's not an AC, it's a concrete pipe, but just wondering if that can be, the capital team can have a chat with likes of Nico to see if that can be included in that renewal. I think there's been 4 breaks in a reasonably short period. So just wanting to flag that.
Can we take that for action for you right now?
Concrete one, AC.
123 questions. 124. That's the report.
Good reports.
No further questions for Donna? We'll go back to mine. There's a recommendation in there, isn't there, Julie?
To receive it.
Yeah. Councillor Graham. Councillor Kennedy. Thank you. Yeah, there was no decision. Welcome, Linda. Item number 15, page 125.
Department update presented to you. So guess I can go through page by page as well. I'll just point out some key things. So within our staffing, we're doing some internal appointments now. Having been to market, not found suitable people or people willing to come to the district. And with the CCO just a short 17 months away, we have made the call to develop some people and use the people we have and not backfill some roles, which has been a bit of a theme, I guess, and just over the last few weeks I actually had a look at that number of roles, so including what we're not replacing for the forward annual plans. We've reduced by 9 roles since we brought this back in-house. So it's been a constant review of what can we do more efficiently, how many people do we need. So that theme will continue, particularly as we work towards the CCO. We've had the young guys in here today with getting their certificates. We had another wastewater operator get his certificate, but his paperwork didn't arrive in time for this morning, so you'll see him at a subsequent meeting. Compliance reporting, we've had Tamara Arawai have been interested, obviously, in the UV upgrade at Tapano, which is touched on later on in the report. that will help with our compliance at that site. They were asked a question about why we didn't put Milton on the boil water notice during the wind event. We've responded with a report on that, still waiting for a response. Not sure what action they might take or could take for that. We registered the new Balmoral Tuapeka supply and deregistered the Tuapeka resupply, which I also touched on this morning. And the big job for the compliance team is our annual reporting for the 2025 period is underway. That has to be done by the 25th of February, and those are the results that come out in the drinking water regulation report, which reports on all water suppliers across New Zealand, and that report comes out usually in around September. So we'll see how we fare against others in that report. ORC obviously still actively involved in auditing our plants, and we still have a number of abatement notices in place, both for water, which is resulting from their audit that they did last year. They audit our wastewater plants annually, but water is the first time we'd had them here since we've been in-house. So a number of things to be resolved there, and some of those things have been consent conditions that haven't been met for some years. Still the journey of discovery as we continue to work through improvements. Across our water treatment plants, we've got some updates there on most of our plants. A few improvements that we've got underway. So we've been trying some different methods of dosing. So liquid PaCl, which gives us better control of dosing methods rather than staff using a powder and making up that liquid. And I think I mentioned this morning, so the new res at North Bruce now operational. I think it's been there since 2023. So finally hooked up for this summer and increases capacity significantly. Moa Flat, which has been subject to a long-term boil notice. We've got the same improvements or similar improvements that we made at North Bruce, which are scheduled to start in February and be complete by the end of March. And we're hopeful, after having unsuccessfully trialled that carbon filter, that this will actually help us remove the boil water notice. For those residents, especially the township area, they'll be very pleased about that if we can get it across the line. South Richardson, we talked about that this morning, that feeds Kaka Point as well. So we're trialling a different way of dosing that again to help performance. But yeah, it's an ongoing process. As the water changes, temperatures affect things. It works fine at night. During the day when it's hot, it doesn't like it. So we're continuing to trial different things to get stability of supply.
Okay, thanks for your worship. So South Richardson supplies KP, does it? So the issue I talked about in the last report, is there anything in the pipeline about renewal or refurbishment of that pumping station?
Through you, Your Worship, I think there's $6 million in the budget that was pushed forward when you look back at when we made some adjustments. So I think, is it designed next financial year, Donna? There's also a bit of strategic work that was happening in that space to look at whether it could be supplied from the Clutha River or Clutha as well. But there is money in the budget, but it is a couple of years out.
We should think it's 7.5 across 2 years.
Yeah, it's probably de-escalated now.
That was to move the actual water treatment.
That's not to move it, it's to build a new water treatment plant at that location. If we're going to move it, it might cost us that again for the pipes. That's the work that's been done in that strategic report. So that's going to be coming back with that sitting with, I think, Nico's. We're just getting that finalised to bring back to council to discuss it. But yeah, that.
So the LTP showed there was a new water treatment plant coming from Clutha, didn't it?
Not from the Clutha. It was at the current site.
Through Your Worship, they were looking at upgrading Whiteley Road, but almost rebuilding that and putting in a pipeline instead of replacing for the cost will be prohibitive.
Well, just in rough terms, we've put 42 kilometres of pipeline in for the new Balmoral 2 Peka scheme. It's probably going to take a 15 kilometre pipeline to hook up the Richardson South scheme from the Whiteley Road. So you can, I think we spent about $13 million on pipes for that. So it's probably in the range of $4 or $5 million of pipes just to get the water there, plus a treatment plant to provide the capacity. But that'll come in that strategy report that council can look at and look at what you want to see moving forward.
So, through your worship, just God forbid, but if there's a catastrophic event like Evans Flat, what are our options? Can't water.
It's quite a substantial water treatment plant there. It's not a pump station. It's got 2 clarifiers. It's got a mixing tank. It's got a sand filter and a pump station as well, and UV. So it's not like Evans Flat, which was a pump shed with a small tank that would then pumped up the hill. So yeah, if there are options, if you do have a catastrophic failure or a fire at a water treatment plant, you can get containerised water treatment plants. They're not designed to last long term. So I mean, we did look at them for Richardson South a few years ago before we upgraded the clarifier, but we were looking at potentially a big ticket item that doesn't actually have a long lifetime. So they're really only a temporary solution.
Okay, so looking forward, the design phase when we get to that, obviously we're not there yet. So does that just go out to general tender, or is there preferred people that we approach?
We need to look at that strategy issue before, because we have talked to the KP community and they will say, oh, we need to look at the Clutha River, but we need to look at the economics of that versus the better source versus the piping cost to get it there. And we're not going to make the same mistakes again, so when we look at those costs, it's a whole thing all at once and not doing it in different components.
Okay, and just something from left field. Super scheme, supplying Balclutha, Stirling, Point. Is that something that maybe considered or discussed?
We haven't looked at it for quite some time, but that's certainly, if that's something that you want on the work program, I suppose the only issue, we have done some work looking at south of Balclutha, we've done some work looking at north of Balclutha, but it was more around connecting our existing ones rather than a really big water treatment plant and going from there. But it's potentially something that could be flagged with the new water authority. I'm not sure we'll have time to look at that between now and when, in 17 months, as Linda raised.
Appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Tapanui, we talked about UV for a long time. I think the conversation started in 2022. We finally installed the UV unit in December 25. So that gives us increased tolerance, I guess, for that water quality that comes there. So that was something that John Herbert will be happy to hear. So if anybody's in touch with him, you can let him know that it's finally in place. Just got one small problem, which is overheating sometimes. But we're trying different things to solve that. But in terms of the water quality, it seems to be coping okay. And we had, so Tapanui traditionally goes on to stage 2 water restrictions in summer, when that kicks off in December. But we've just lifted that last week. Actually, we've dropped it down to the same level as the rest of the district, given we haven't seen the demand and we've got stability in the reservoirs. Milton membrane renewal that was approved in the annual plan last year, that equipment's been ordered and that will happen before the end of June. At Clutha, we've recently done some work to upgrade the UV. That's helped us increase our compliance level for that plant, and we've also replaced the sand media. And the picture there shows the little sand hills there, but that work was undertaken by staff rather than getting experts in. We had experts overseeing it and giving us advice, but that's helped with improvement of that plant too. Our wastewater plants, just 2 plants to report on here. So in Stirling, and in fact at a number of our plants, we still have total nitrogen as an issue. We've got a trial going on with a curtain That curtain got severely damaged during the wind event and has only just been repaired in January. And that requires us to take some samples and monitor performance. So that will be ongoing. And if that proves successful, then we'll look to do that and roll that out to some other plants that have a similar. And Clinton was that other one with that curtain. So just in terms of our pond levels, we've put the pond levels there. So that just shows, even with the wet conditions, that we're running pretty well. And I just want to call out Tapanui, and in particular with the wet, the big wet we had the end of January, Owaka plant actually overflowed. So that shows we've probably got some ionine issues still. But Tapanui, which would traditionally overflow, went up by 6%. And didn't overflow. And that's the impact of the ionine work we've done, plus we've done some manhole repairs and we've placed the discharge valve. So we're now putting a bigger discharge valve at Owaka too. So we can hopefully see less of an impact next time there's heavy rain. So I guess it kind of shows across all our plants we are trying things and making small improvements, all towards improving and sustaining compliance. The asset manager function has come into my team after the restructure in September. So Nico's done quite a detailed report here. I've said to him, and I'm sure that in meetings going forward you'll want updates, not full background on everything. But there's a number of things that we're working on, and some are almost ready to be rolled out. Others are going through consultation, but it's all about being, I guess, a good water supplier and having some rules that we haven't traditionally had in place around data standards and as-built and things, making people sure that contractors are doing what we require and we're getting the information back from them.
Do we have anyone have questions on page 131, which is all related with item number 5, Free Waters Asset Management, 132, 133? No questions.
And I'll just touch on the retic on page 134. So service orders obviously went up over the wind event, settled back down a bit. But the thing I wanted to point out is the no-DES process that we're going to put in place for Milton. So we have traditionally high iron and manganese that seems to go in cycles over years. So we had another high event in September, October, which again has put us under scrutiny from Te Mara Arawai. And we did some reservoir cleaning, but we are now looking at this process where pipe cleaning happens. They come and set up, they take the water straight from the main through hydrants, but then process it through the equipment they have on site, and you can see in the picture the kind of product they can remove from pipes and also the water quality in those bottles. So we're hopeful. We've targeted, we've only got them for 2 weeks, and we've targeted a number of streets that we know are have higher levels. So I'm hoping that that's going to help that colour of the water in Milton. I&I graphs are there. We'll take out the ones that are 100% complete in the next report, but overall we've had a reduction of 82% of that work. So that's been quite a focus. Still, Balclutha and Milton that are our worst offenders. A few other little stragglers that need time.
On that I&I, obviously, it's been a massive reduction in Owaka, but we know that we've got I&I. So when are we going to go and investigate the public side of I&I?
Through your worship, we would then go and do what we did in Tapanui and try and find where the manholes are allowing water to get into the system.
Trace back through your worship. When you have an event, you start to look at different branch lines and try and identify where you've got large inflows, and then you can do CCTV to investigate where that's coming from. In Tapanui, it was pouring in around the manholes, so that's an easy one to fix. If it's in pipes, it's much harder. And we've already replaced a couple of pipes down closer to the.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work.
And they were causing a lot of I&I, but it's still happening.
Still a spot somewhere, isn't there?
Or multiples.
Any further questions for Linda? Would someone like to move that, receive the report? Second, Councillor Smith. Linda, while you're up, we've got the late item number that's water related. Would you like to talk to that?
Absolutely. So this is our standard reporting that we produce. We've modified the report following a request by the portfolio leads, and so we've taken out a lot of the pages and left you in the coloured bits because the charts probably tell enough of a story for you. I'm happy to take questions about particular plants, see if I can answer them.
I've got a question for you, Linda. A lot of the discharge parameters that you've got here, like the red, like the big blocks of red all the way through, just really the why. Is it plant failure or is it human error? What's going on?
So the ones, so we've got mower flat there, so that's
We've got Balclutha, Clinton, discharge parameters, non-compliant, Milton.
You're on the wastewater now?
Yeah.
Is there a page?
No page numbers.
Yeah, no numbers, sorry. Yeah. No, just a question, the why.
Some of those are around so improvements have been made, but we're not getting the outcome that the improvements were meant to. So that's those total nitrogens and things that we're looking at, trying some things, but also still working with the supplier with those upgrades. Because we're not achieving the compliance we should be.
Councillor Kittle.
So Linda, so the Purua water treatment plant dives right down in December. Is that just purely because you had to bypass?
Correct.
So purely having to bypass, is it from leaks or is this from the sector, the rural sector taking our restrictors from increased demand on a hot day, or why all of a sudden it can supply, it's all good, ticks along nicely, meant to be up to the job, and then whammo, you get a little bit of hot weather in December, and next thing I don't know, water, was it breakages or?
No, that is generally around. Had that treatment with the warmer weather, and we've trialled. If you've been past the plant, you would have seen the unsightly cover that's over the temporary cover we've built to go over the clarifier. That's to try and get the flock to settle a bit more instead of coming over the top. So we're trying. That hasn't proved successful, it would seem, but it's really just about getting the balance. But as soon as you physically bypass a treatment process, you are non-compliant. And that's a request that comes from the scheme chair.
So we're bypassing it to deliver volume, isn't it?
Correct.
So what's all of a sudden the demand of our volume?
Well, through you, Your Worship, there will be people taking restrictors out, guaranteed, and it needs to stop.
Because to me it looks like it's very seasonal.
Yeah, that's right, that's why.
So you've got a township that are wondering why they're on poor water rates.
Yeah, like that's probably not the only reason, but I know in the scheme I'm intimately know well, that's an issue. And there's someone else sitting around the table that's worked in that field, and he'd be able to back up what I'm saying. So a lot of that's around education. The other big thing that I think we should be looking at, and Linda is right on board with this too, is people paying for water, so we want them to be getting what they pay for. So, and that's half the reason, but the trouble is there's people who had restrictors out, or in the past restrictors weren't maintained. So there's an expectation to get water. We'll be getting water like this, where actually the restrictor should have been, say, 3 litres a minute, and they're getting 30. So when it's corrected, they're back to 3 litres a minute, or, you know, that type of thing. And they're going, well, hang on, I'm not getting more water, so out comes the restrictor. Well, actually, they are. So there's a whole lot of education around consumers, especially in the rural sector, around that. And I, for one, are quite hot on it, and it's something we need to pull into line, and we are. And Linda's team have been doing a lot of work on processes and steps we can take when repeat offenders have been found tampering with their council restrictors. So it's probably not the only reason, but it's certainly a big one.
Any further questions? Would someone like to move recommendation 1? We received them.
I'm happy.
Move Roger, second Dean, Trustee. Thank you. Right, we're moving into item number 16, prepared by Jules, page 140. Julie. Is everyone quite happy to go with recommendation 1? 1 and 2, both together.
Yeah, take that one. Oh, because we're leaving actually, no.
Do 1 first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was on track.
Yeah, sorry.
I was on track. Someone prepared to move recommendation 1? So. All those in favour, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Yeah, a recommendation 2 or 3. Probably actually,
Yeah, so
we'll need to leave these specified people in.
Yes, so we're allowing for Mr. Evan Dick.
Mr. Evan Dick to talk.
Then it's 3 is still the same.
They take 2 and 3 together, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Frost. All those in favour?
Now you need to pause.
Yes, pause. We'll just have a wee stretch, eh?